Welcome back, everybody, to the Risen Divine League, where we are now 1-0 up for the Travelers over the side of the Death Cards. Looking to see how the Death Cards are going to try to turn that fate around up against a squad that has beaten them time and time again all season long. If they want a spot in the finals, if they want to hold true to what that first seed represents, they are going to need to take them down here tonight.
And then you just get a game going, Gordo.
It's
Just
where
need
it's
to
got to
find.
start.
It's got to start somewhere. You got to get the ball rolling from nothing. And, it's tough because a lot of times when you come off game ones, you feel like there's kind of like a clear, different direction you want to go with the draft. I don't think there's a lot of that for the Death Cards. I feel they had a lot. They had a comp that we praised for a lot of decent setup, a lot of good cancellation on what Travelers want to do. It just when push came to shove, especially later in those skirmishes, it never really connected. Shredman's Nico, Pop Blossoms, they didn't find multiple targets. There wasn't a ton of damage from the Nico. The one they had was like a good pick, but it was too late in the game. Zoranos was getting stunned up with Flash, Exhaust, Featherstorm up. When he was 5-0-1 on a Zaya, nearly 3 items, couldn't get the damage out. The only place that you could maybe think, all right, where do we adjust in the draft is maybe you pick something more aggressive so you don't let Lil Fizzy get ahead on a Renekton that becomes the X factor when you get to those Baron fights.
That might be it, really. And I don't have too many criticisms with the composition. As we said, Slayer, I really do think it came down to execution in that last game. They lost a couple of crucial fights in moments where they probably rather would not have. And it really ended up making all the difference there. It ended up with Fizzy just being too big to deal with in those skirmishes, and they won them hard enough that they were able to just close out the game outright. So we're going to have to see if they want to run something similar back, because it does look like we're already getting into draft here. See the bans flying on through, and it looks like the Death Cards are choosing to stay on the red side for game number 2.
Oh. So that might signal that they like what they were cooked up on red side already, and they don't really have a B1 pick that they think, okay, that's really going to change our game. And that also reflects in the fact that I'm pretty sure those are the same 2 bans from game number 1, the Fiora and the Gragas. I mean, at least we aren't seeing a direct ban in response to game number 1. Interestingly enough, though, for Travelers, they haven't done that blue side Cassante ban yet. They have instead taken the Orianna out, so maybe they also, they don't want to stay chalk. They don't want to, if they see the Jarvan get put up, take it.
Nothing?
Or nothing. I'm sure we'll be told what that ban is. But this is the ban where I'm interested to see if the Death Cards will ban Cassante. And the question now becomes in my head, all right, would they rather ban J4 and not let that come through again? Or do you want to try and predict that the Travelers want the Cassante, so you ban it away?
The blank ban is Cassante.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
That's the change up, though. The Jarvan ban is the new layer. Gwen is left up. Jarvan taken away. So that's going to be our swap here. The Cassante is unavailable. Please remember that as we get through the rest of the draft, as the Maokai instead was going to be the first pick for the Travelers here. It's one that they've put the Stro on plenty. He's been a big Maokai guy, been a big Jarvan guy, been a big Sejuani guy. Been all about those meta junglers throughout this season, and he is not going to budge. He gets his Jarvan banned, and he will be happy to take the tree.
Who isn't a big Maokai J4 Sejuani guy in 2023 at this point, to be honest with you? Not guys you're seeing play deep into playoffs. Lexus, yeah, except for Lexus. The immediate Udyr, I'm going to suspect
that's I mean...
Yeah, I'm going to suspect that's an answer. They did pick jungle R1 last time. We didn't know if it would be the jungle until later. Udyr, you got a bit more of a picture. There are some guys who still praise their Lord and Savior Trick 2G, even though it doesn't work anymore, and take him top. But that's likely a jungle answer. And the Ashe, they're now going to put Serranos on a more utility-oriented AD carry like they have most of the season instead of a big hyper carry. Ashe has the damage capability, but you're mostly seeing her to be, an arrow bot, a slow bot.
Agree there. As, the Ashe lock-in coming through once again there. That's likely going to be for Zoranos. I expect Pierce Blade to take its support, but always going to be something that is on the table. The Tristana lock-in for the Travelers once again. I suppose now we know that Barco Duck is very willing to take that into the bottom lane, even when I see a big draft angle to take it elsewhere. And that's not going to be changing here, as he's going to lock in the Yone. Still a big fan of those AD mid laners. He's going to take himself that one. coming on into game number 2. That's going to be a blind Yone as well.
Yeah. Immediately what this screams me to death cards is you can answer mid. The first ban off the board immediately should be Gwen. Just ban Gwen. I mean, yeah, Maokai's some AP damage, but this is still a very AD heavy comp. Oh, that's awesome. They do ban the Gwen immediately, so smart. Very smart. Akali versus Yone. That's going to be fun. That's going to be fun to watch Shredman versus Burger King. And you talked about it. We were off the air. Burger King did slip up a bit on the Syndra, got caught out a couple times. So does that mean, all right, what if we try and play through Shredman as the damage dealer? Picking Akali kind of signals that, at least a little bit.
Yeah, at least for some of it, right? Like Ashe and Udyr are going to hold them down, going to slow them up as they try to chase down and be able to secure those kills. Although I do really want to see a little bit more damage coming out of some source. I don't think just Ashe and Akali together are going to be able to wipe out a whole team. You might need at least some kind of damage coming in off the top lane with this kind of composition, or you might need to see the Ashe moved over to support. We'll see what exactly they want to do there. The Gwen already banned away. The Rel going to join her. They look to try to eliminate some of those really powerful all-in bot lane duos. The Renekton going to be banned away as well from the Travelers. That makes a lot of sense. They're just going to slam that Rakan for the death cards. That's going to round out their bottom lane, and now top going to be the final pick. They are giving counter pick to Starry. See if they can put themselves together a game plan that way.
And like you mentioned from the winners bracket earlier, best of 3, Starry will play aggressive top laners. He does not mind playing damage in the top lane, so a lot of options up there for them. I like the death cards picking up Rakan again. I think of all the players, Pierceblade was the best in the game, to be honest with you. Early, you talked about how well he was pathing. I think later in the game, that fight that was close at the Baron Pit, he got 4 people charmed up and the 3 others knocked up. So that's like a dream scenario for Rakan. That's all you have to do. That's your job. So I think Pierceblade was the best player in the last game for the death cards. Why not get him on the champion again? The Pyke as an answer. Now I'm curious to see if Barco Duck switches up his keystones and such, because Pyke is the most aggressive support you can pick in League of Legends in the bottom lane. Got to think that they're going to be going for craziness right out the gate.
And there's that Kennen coming through as well for the side of Little Fizzy. They needed some kind of AP. They find themselves it in spades with this mage. Maokai going to have to be holding down the kind of frontline department. And now the death cards, they need themselves top laner who can withstand this Kennen. They can run back the Ornn, although that does make me worried about the amount of damage they're bringing to the table. They take the Malphite. I mean, it is triple AD if you count the Pyke as well. It is a good source of engage to go in with the rest of this composition. I do just worry about their ability to really be able to take down a Maokai or a Yone, right? Once he starts getting a little bit of extra sustain in the tank, how exactly are you going to be able to take him down as he's fighting his way back through there, as he's shielding himself back up? Akali's going to be able to mark 1 or 2 targets, but they've got their work cut out for them here.
Yeah, I mean, the track record doesn't bode well. Zoranos was in the best position you can ask for as a Xayah. Didn't get a ton out of him later. And now you're asking him to do it on immobile Ashe, less damage-oriented Ashe. Like, it's way difficult for Zoranos to perform on the Ashe, in my mind. At least you have a beefier front line this game. Well, it's kind of similar. It's about the same, actually, so it's tough. You're relying a lot on Zoranos to do a ton on the Ashe, and Shredman to do a lot on the Akali. I would have liked them to lean more on going 3-ish damage dealers, especially against a comp that, you know, Yone does have sustain, but you're pretty squishy outside of that Yone, and obviously the Maokai. But this is a game where I can realistically see you going 3 damage dealers, picking a top laner. You talked about the set was an answer. Obviously, it's going to be tough against the Kennen. There's Aatrox up as well. I guess Starry's not an Aatrox player. That would have been a great AD answer as well. Gnar.
Yep.
This time, I do have a lot more question marks about the Death Cards draft than last one.
I agree. I'm in that same boat. I think they're going to need to get some advantages early with this composition, because if you come into the later game in a really even state, I think it's going to be very tough for you to even be able to go toe-to-toe. If everybody just runs at each other and pushes all their buttons, feels like it's going to be very tough for the Death Cards to come out on top. They're going to need to find some huge engages, some big flank angles, right? Even if you get the big Rakan engage plus the big Maokai engage or Malphite engage, excuse me. Going to be 2 Maos in this game. We'll see how we're going to be able to do. The big Malphite engage and the big Rakan engage together. It's like, where's the follow-up damage going to come through? You're going to have a big Phoenix stance on top of them. I guess that's going to get you a little bit of the way there, but it's not going to do all the work on its own. They're really they're gonna need to be a hell of a defense put together for Zoronos to make sure he's gonna be able to be the DPS on Ashe, and it's gonna be really hard to keep Zoronos safe up against Yone and Kennen and Maokai and Tristana. And Pyke. They're all gonna be coming at Zoronos. I just don't know that they have the defense that they're gonna need.
And there's barely any AoE damage outside of the Malphite, who's not going to be going. I mean, you know what? I'd be here for it if Starry just says, yeah, you guys think I'm going to take Malphite. Watch this, glass cannon to try and delete.
I'd be okay with that, yeah, honestly.
Yeah, it would be a fun angle for it. We'll see. Maybe the runes will give away that. Usually it's a comet play from Starry if he's usually going that way. So
you can go comet even on tank Maokai. Malphite.
Malphite.
I actually really like it into these squishier matchups. My boy Rudude used to always talk about this, where there's kind of a Malphite intelligence test you got to do, where if Starry goes Arcane Comet, Fizzy kind of has to start Doran's Shield, and if he doesn't, he's just going to end up getting forced out of lane if Malphite just Qs him on cooldown for his whole mana bar. We'll see if that ends up actually going on down, if Fizzy feels that's necessary or not. But just something worth noting, especially when you're Malphite up into some of these squishier matchups.
Gordo's having to Malphite his dictionary right now.
I am.
We'll get it down. All right, so it is the comet, so we'll see.
And
we'll
no
see
green tree from Kennen either. So
so as squishy as they come.
Needs to be Doran's Shield, man. Let's see it. If it's not Doran's Shield, it's gonna be tough for Fizzy in the early game.
I just can't believe with the draft we've had that I'm actually advocating for a glass cannon Malphite at this level of play, because God is it terrible in most, like 90% of competitive stances. It is the most solo queue oriented Malphite build you could think of, but I think it's needed because he's literally, I mean, he's quite literally the only AoE damage, no, except for what, like you said, Phoenix stance.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember what it was, but in ACL last split, we had some ridiculous Malphite build that ended up coming on through. They went like, I think they went Rocket Belt, and then they had like a couple of tank items in there and a couple
like
of AP items in there. There's room for bonkers Malphite builds in League of Legends. We'll have to see if they do end up coming on through. There's the phase rush on the Maokai as well. See, he's going to be bumping up a little bit of that AP damage while he's at it. The Conqueror for the Udyr will help with that DPS as well. You don't want to completely shrug him off, right? He'll probably go the Jaksho Demonic Embrace build. That's what most people go on the Udyr, and it'll give you like a little bit of damage. It's just, is it going to be enough? That's the question.
Exactly. Both of these mid laners going defensively with their second trees. Bone plating there for the Akali to sort of try and stunt the initial brunt of a Yone. Yone is about just as bursty as an Akali can be with his combo, so I don't hate that at all. Both of them kind of playing to try and prevent getting bursted by the other one, so that's always fun to see. AD carries. It's still the lethal tempo for Barco Duck. Now that doesn't mean you can't play crazy all-in level 2 with Tristana. It really helps because once you get level 2, you jump in, you place the bomb on Ashe's head, and then you hail a blades. In like an instant, you have the reset available. So it really is what gives you the extra punch to level 2, get the kill, but still wants that lethal tempo. Interesting to see the Hail of Blades is actually on Zoranos, who I would have thought is also just trying to all in to be the damage dealer later, but the Hail of Blades is the choice.
I mean, to be fair, there's no world where Zoranos gets to like proc lethal tempo in this game. Like he is.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like if he's ever in a position where he's able to, where he would hypothetically be able to proc lethal tempo, he's gonna never get it. Like something has happened where like Malphite and Rakan and Udyr have combined in such a beautiful way that it doesn't matter what rune you have anymore. You've already won the fight. So I kind of get it. It's gonna give him a little bit more play up against Barco Duck and Aquanico, who are both going to be going aggressive. Aquanico does have the Halo Blades himself, as that's kind of best in slot on Pyke. There's not a lot of other stuff you can go. The Aftershock's been nerfed enough on non-tanky champions that you don't really love it. on him, even though that used to be the go-to option.
I hated that so much.
Yeah, and we'll see. I'm surprised we don't see double Halo Blades though out of Barco, Duck, and Aquanico. Just all in for it. I agree. Um, Try to win the lane, but then again, they are in a position where they likely know what we've been saying this whole time, whether they're tuned into stream or not. They should be plenty aware that if they can just get out of the mid game at even or ahead, it's going to be very, very hard for the Death Cards to play the game. We'll have to see if that's what ends up happening as we are ready to get out of the Rift for game number 2. The Death Cards looking to tie us up. The Travelers looking to send us to match point. Let's get out of the Rift for game number 2.
Will there be any level 1 shenanigans this time around? You got a Pyke, so that can always get a little bit fun. You don't see Pikes too often anymore because it's like the most high variance support ever. If you're not getting early advantages with a Pyke or roaming to get kills, you're giga useless. So I like that Aquanico has gone for this stance here. Might already look for something level 1 onto Shredman, to be honest, who thinks he's safe just dancing. They have roamed Barco Duck over here. I think they're going to try it.
Yep. Test passed by Lil Fizzy, by the way. Oh, the hook over the wall. Shredman in a disastrous position, forced to flash away. The Stro did start twisting advance, so this will slow down his jungle clear a little bit. He might need a little bit of a leash from Barco, Duck, and Aquanico. I'm sure they'll be happy to provide, but Shredman will be flashless to start off this laning phase.
Oh, and they got a ward on that red buff too, so that's at least something. But yeah, I mean, that's already kind of Pyke warranting the pick right there already. That's what you pick him for. I do like you pointed out, Lil Fizzy did pass the intelligence check we gave him. So he's got the Dornan's Shield, which will make him be able to sustain there. Up in the top lane is the Scorch doing a bit of extra damage, but that's already a gank angle, for Burger King. Also, Shredman, already below half HP, actually teleports back to lane. So Burger King, who was shaky at points in game number 1 getting picked, is in the best position to succeed already out the game.
Yeah, he's got everything going for him that he could possibly have. So there's going to be some expectations from us that come with that. We'll see how Burger King is going to be able to navigate this lane. So far, keeping it shoved up and has that vision there that's going to spot out Lexus. It's an all-in at level 2 coming out of Travelers, but Aquanico does not connect with that Harpoon and actually going to get a little bit chased down.
Yeah, Pierce Blade, I talked about it, looked really good on the recon, especially early, right there. Cool, calm, and collected, dodges out on any of the stuns, and then gets the double knock-up just to cancel out any of that uber-aggressive bottom lane. And that's going to do wonders as this lane goes on. The fact that, Barco Duck's going to have to use his pot. Aquanico on the Pyke will get some healing with his passive on his W, I believe, or E, one of the two. But you pass the first check, the level 2 check up against this type of bot lane.
You do. You do. And it's going to be a success for Zoronos and Pierce Blade. Aquanico and Barco Duck, they went for their all-in. It didn't succeed. They hit level 3 first. They're not even going to try it this time. They will get the push, but they're not going to end up with the first blood that you might otherwise hope for. As Shredman taking a bit of a trade here up against Burger King, but it's level 3 on these two champions. They kind of both need their ultimates before they're really going to be in kill threat. So instead, just going to be a little trade back and forth, and the priority from Burger King should secure Stro this Rift Scuttler.
Yep. Did skip a camp to get here first, though, like you talked about with the slower start. So, it's like a little bit behind compared to Lexus. Ooh, good Shuriken back there from Shredman, who is holding his own despite the fact that he is summonerless right now. But that wave is now shoving into him. Burger King's got it actually in a really good spot here to just punish Shredman a lot more without that teleport. And Stro looking to punish this very low mana Starry.
Yep, going on in. Has the Twisted Advance. Bramble smashes him right back. This is going to be a stun coming through from Fizzy. Do they have the damage to fully take him out, though? Doesn't look like it. Starry going to go to about 300 HP. Going to have to recall and TP. He was out of mana, so he's probably in the territory of needing to do that anyway. But the fact that he didn't flash is going to be very good for him. Means that he will at least be able to get back up here and pick off where he left off.
And so far, outside of mid lane, the other two outside lanes for Death Cards are exceeding expectations for what they kind of got placed against, I would say. Bit of a CS deficiency there for Starry. Does have to teleport, like you mentioned, but it's mostly I'm talking about the bot side. The fact that you haven't died early to the Pyke and Tristana, and you have Zeranos ahead on farming, I believe is even going to get a bit of a cheater back here, is a nice angle.
It is. It is. Taking his recall here. The wave's going to be pushed back up by Barcoduck pretty fast. But going to get the recall off nonetheless and going to be able to stay pretty even in money. Barcoduck going to have to take a recall of his own before too long. Just note what Lexus is doing on this Udyr. Already at a CS lead, now stealing away camps. Clears so fast on this Udyr. That is the power that it brings to the table. And it looks like he will be able to get this top quadrant to camps. The push from Fizzy and Burger King makes this a little dangerous, but he's got Pierce Blade for backup.
Love this from Pierce Blade. Can't sing his praises enough. Early game, he is definitely looking on point. Roaming out early. That's what you like to see from Rakan. And it doesn't show up much in the stat department, but yeah, flashless Udyr going for an invade. Pierce Blade being there, I wasn't needed, but that safety is just so much extra. And now you've got a sizable CS lead for Lexus. They're trying to set up a potential gank here. Shredman maybe trying to bait in a Fate Sealed, but now they're going to have spotted Stro out trying to re-aggress for an invade. Do they know he's there? He's going to walk up to the brush. This could be bad.
Yeah, he's going to face check right into Lexus, who's just going to commit that passive on the Phoenix stance. Chunk Stro out low. Stro going to have to flash back away.
Yeah, that's a key flash down. This Maokai now very far behind. It's going to allow Lexus to take that top scuttle for free. And eventually set up for a top gank here. Lil Fizzy has a push going. Does have his flash available, so he should feel safe. And bottom lane, Pierce Blade is actually the one jumping in now on this Tristana Pyke, but they need to be careful because one of those daggers landing for Aquanico. And you might have to say bye-bye Zeranos.
Yep, so far has been able to evade at least the important harpoons and keeps himself at a fairly healthy health total. Now, pretty calm across the rift here. A nice CS lead built up by Burger King, a moderate one built up by Lexus as well. Going to end up keeping gold pretty even across the board. Shredman finding nice trades, but of course still just suffering from that level 1. Has the flash back now, but was at a CS deficit for a while due to the position they were put in and is going to be feeling the pain from that when Burger King gets the earlier buy. Right now they're both just on the upgraded boots though.
Yep. That hawk shot, no pink scheme after it, so don't believe Stro got spotted going for his red buff. They probably have an idea with timers that he's still down there. They're likely just saying, all right, he's on his Krugs, which he is. So it is the second game in a row, though, Gordo, where nobody's really super high prio on Drakes. The Stro now going over there, but I don't think, I mean, he's Maokai. He's not going to take it alone. So we're going to have another game where we might not really reach soul point unless somebody goes perfect taking them towards the later stages.
Yeah, definitely here. I do think Lexus is probably going to want to move towards that soon. It looks like a recall came out pretty recently from the bottom lane, or they're assuming one did because they don't see Barcoduck or Aquanico. So they're going to shove this wave back, or maybe take a recall for themselves. Pierce Blade channeling right now. Teleport back from Shredman in towards the mid lane. As Lexus clears out this bottom quadrant, he's not going to really have many places to go other than to Dragon, so that surely should be the plan here. Is Barcoduck going in onto Zeranos? Gonna have to blow the exhaust as he gets thrown back away, and Enchanted Crystalero down as well. Aquanico with a big hook back in, gets the Phantom Undertow. Here's the full combo onto Shredman, and Burger King, the snap back is gonna net him first blood.
That's why you picked the Pyke. Need to have impact somewhere on the Rift in the first 10 minutes. Got the flash early on Shredman and pays him a visit. This time, you are going home on a gray screen one way or another. They're really inflating Burger King here, and I like it with how shaky as Syndra got at points. Now they're saying, you know what, man? We've got you. Go ball out on this Yone. You've got yourselves a first blood lead.
The Travelers do choose to turn that into a Rift Herald. That does open up for Lexus to claim the first dragon. That's probably the only action he could have taken anyway, so he will secure that one for himself. But very nice by the Travelers. They get themselves the bigger gold injection in the form of that Rift Herald, and now going to have the opportunity to place that down at their leisure. Bigger CS lead being built up at the top lane by the Kennen as well. feeling very good for how this game has gone. And this is beautiful from Nico.
Maybe a bit of overextension here from Shredman, thinking he was safe in that, shroud. Beautiful harpoon. The limited vision you get was just enough for Aqua Nico. Like you talked about, the ignite ticking, but that pullback on the soul form for Yone always brings that extra oomph to those combos. Is enough to pick up those kills. I expect both these supports to never be bottom lane anymore, to be honest with you, because, Tristana feels safe with her ability to hop out if Ashe ever tries something in Zeranos. It's either going to be an arrow to stop Tristana going forward, and if Barco Duck's cleansing it, you likely have your exhaust up when the cleanse is up, so then you could just exhaust him after the cleanse comes out. There's really very little kill threat when the 280 carries are alone down there.
Yeah, for sure. Aqua Nico might pay visits occasionally to see if he can force summoners out of Zeranos or try to get themselves a kill, but for the most part, yeah, definitely expect to see these guys out and about, making stuff happen. Barco Duck jumping in, going to be forced to flash out immediately. A little bit questionable there. Going to be down that summoner for the foreseeable future.
Paying the Pierce Blade tax. Good, once again, grand entrance from him. Lexus has roamed down just to cover, but I believe they saw Aqua Nico just take that back. They're pinging it too, so don't need Lexus to stay here. He can go back for a clear. There is the unstoppable force out from Starry, but this is looking like a tank malfight, so no real kill threat behind that.
Yeah, he forced him to take a turret shot. Not a bad idea. He maybe could have thought about getting a second one in there. Could have been a little bit close to kill threat as full trades coming in from the top lane. Stro throwing down the Nature's Grasp a little too late. Shredman able to outrun it. Hide out underneath the turret. Both mid laners shrunk to about half, but no further violence to be had.
Maybe that was a good thing, because maybe if that lands, Burger King decides to go under turret, and Lexus was like right there with Phoenix Dance already going, so Burger King would definitely have died. Trey might have come out. Shredman going crazy here, but Stro stayed around. They're going to get the root in the Shroud. The Fate Sealed is going to hit through the Shroud. Shredman has to use Burning Execution to get away. Very low, but now Lexus has to pop the Ghost to run away as well. So good stall there from Stro. Commits even more summoners and ults out of this SDC mid-jungle duo.
Yeah, really great job by Burger King once again, reading where Shredman is, connects the abilities while he's in the Shroud. Not enough to secure the kill, but is enough to stop the play coming on through. Now just continuing on the push.
Hold on.
Pretty low. There's the full combo, and Burger King ends up with a second kill for it. Aqua Nico a little short of the death from below, but they'll take that all day.
Second time he gets a kill with that E recast. 2 for 2 on those, and now you've given Yone 2 kills up against a composition who is very susceptible to one big combo from this Yone, the Fate Sealed with that soul, soul form. Zeranos has got to be sweating down there thinking about what the rest of this game looks like for him.
He definitely does. Very, very dangerous with the compositions already, and now even more so as Burger King already has that Kraken Slayer done. Now he's on a substantially more powerful item spike than the Akali. They end up in one-on-ones up against each other for the next couple of minutes. It's going to be a very, very dangerous situation for Shredman. No longer in a position where he can really fish for that one-on-one. And a minute to go until the next dragon. And it feels like it's going to be tough for the Death Cards to be able to secure for themselves. It's those item spikes being hit by both carries.
Big point of contention, certainly, for Travelers as they look to go, 6-0 on the Death Cards?
Yeah.
And they're in a good position to do it once more. Not many avenues besides getting picks like this, but Aqua Nico on that pike can be very pesky. Gonna get the stun.
Nice stuff from Shredman.
Beautifully. Yeah. Just times the stun for when he's going over with the perfect execution, so he follows the pike even if the stun lands. And there's a window. Cast a curse right on cue.
Yeah, I mean, definitely really good stuff there from Shredman. He's been very accurate with those shuriken flips. Locks down onto the pike, chases him down, recasts at the right moment, does everything right. And that will secure him the kill. Nothing Aqua Nico can do short of winning the mind game and dodging out on those skills. Will end up going on down, and Shredman now back in the game. Starry going for this combo on a Fizzy again. This time he takes the second turret shot, and that's going to be a solo kill to the Malphite in the top lane.
Well, those are 2 big slip-ups. And now you've got Starry, who once again on tank duty is just doing enough against Fizzy. Actually, a little bit more this time as he's finally gotten a solo kill onto him. McKenna will be fine. It's still all about the ults, getting those big ults off. You know, getting a lot of stuns off to set up the rest of your team, but you're giving Starry extra time to get tanky when he has to be the big tank on his squad. And it's going to be a beefy front line for STC, the way this game has kind of gone. But the question still remains, can Zeranos and Shredman capitalize on that front line?
Yeah, luckily for the Travelers, they have 4.5 damage dealers in this comp.
Yeah.
So it's they're really built to be able to work their way through that beef once it does end up presenting itself, if they're able to really chain everything back together.
But there is questions about Pyke. You know, Pyke can be really useful, but a lot of the reason why you don't see Pykes picked in a lot of scenarios in competitive is because he is very susceptible later in stages around fights. You really have to be smart about your positioning and your dashes because Pyke is squishy. Right now, Aquanico looking for something. And Nature's Grasp is going to grab hold of somebody, I assume. Burger King thinking about trying to dive Shredman right now. Shredman can definitely stat check Burger King in a lot of ways at this point. And the turn coming out, arrow lands.
Jump over the wall from Nico. Barco Duck going to be able to return a little bit of damage, and looks like those two mid laners brawling it out in the bottom lane have disengaged from one another. Shredman not going in for the recall. Keep your eyes down there. Burger King wants the fight because he's got the item lead. Pierce Blade pops the quickness. Not going to be able to find it on anybody. Actually just gets stunned by the Phantom Undertow, and Barco Duck sees a chance to jump in and get some shots back.
That was so many close scenarios there. We might get another one here as the Stroh's showing up. Lil Fizzy's got everything at his disposal. Rocket Belt as well. The Rift Arrow going to be picked up by Lexus, who's now trying to run out of dodge. And boy, is that Udyr quick in his form. Gets out here. Pierce Blade having to be careful, but Rakan is as slippery as Pyke can be.
Aquanico snags himself a Krug. This isn't what I was looking for. Releases it back from whence it came. And not going to secure anything. There's the all-in from Burger King. The exhaust comes through, but the exhaust does not do enough as Fizzy is channeling Maelstrom over on the top side. A shutdown is secured by Shredman in mid as he hunts down Burger King and evens the odds for the death of Zeranos. It's a 1-for-1 with the shutdown gold going over to SDC.
Almost got dicey top here as well. That was 3 turret shots taken. Now Stroh's way too low, and Shredman is in a position to get a kill. Doesn't pick it up, but at least sets Lexus up to grab it. Smite to secure it. So that Starry tower defense also picking up a kill, and here come the death cards. They are right back in this game, looking for more. Aquanico gets his back canceled, trying to get some healing, but Shredman has arrived. No perfect execution. They're just going to shove in the wave. This dive looking really, really good until Starry gets hooked, flashes away from death from below, but the double stun from Aquanico, so well timed. They're not turning it under their own turret. They're fighting their way out of the turret.
Swimming away now is Starry will get re-engaged on, or Lil Fizzy rather, as Lil Fizzy ends up going on down. Another kill to Shredman, who is now 3-1 on the Akali, evening the odds up against that Yone. Aquanico gonna get spotted by Zeranos. Hail of Blades does its job, and Zeranos picks up a kill.
Desperately needed that kill as well, because we talked about the Ashe needs gold injection as on top of everybody else. But the big story, Shredman, pretty absent in game number 1, that Nico, and now he's showing out. He's going for it all. Perfect execution. One more slice will get it. The Fate Sealed is too late. Shredman has arrived in the series, rampaging at game number 2.
Shredman coming out ahead in that mid lane matchup yet again. Looking very strong on this Akali. Barco Duck is caught now, getting chased down. The TP is being channeled by Lil Fizzy, and they're just going to have to run out of there. Lil Fizzy looking to chase him down, though, has the home guards. Doesn't pop the ultimate, and it's good for him that he backs away, as he could have gotten hit by that Enchanted Crystal Arrow.
Good look at that trade. It's pretty easy. You dive that deep to kill off the Ashe. You get exhausted. You take extra turret shots. Shredman's too easy of a kill. This is the one where I'm pretty sure Lil Fizzy takes 2 turret shots trying to kill Starry, and then Stroh takes that 3rd turret shot, so they're all so low. And that really just set up for this flank, right? Everybody is below 25% HP except Barco Duck. And Stroh dies, getting cut off by Shredman. The dive did get pretty after that, but they still really accomplished the goal they wanted. They ended up picking off 2 of those kills when all is said and done. Good on Lil Fizzy and Aquanico, though, to at least find this trade. Aqualico certainly looks comfortable on the pike with this combo he gets out.
He definitely does. Really good stuff here. Doesn't land the death from below. Immediately adjusts his game plan to get that double stun off of the Phantom Undertow. Very well played there, as now the gold is pretty much even coming into Dragon number 3. Good placement of the Rift Herald to secure themselves the outer turret from the Death Cards as they march their way over to the Reptile. Aquanico over the wall, forces the flash out of Zoronos, gets the hook back in on a Pierce Blade. Here's the Nature's Grasp, locking down everybody. Fate sealed onto 4 into the slicing Maelstrom, and the Travelers find the perfect engage to crush the Death Cards.
That's what they needed. They had to line it up. Now they're going to start cleaning up the rest of the kills. Zoronos is slow, is only saving him for the time being. He will live, but that was why you drafted the Pyke. You draft the Yone and this Kennen to line them all up. What a beautiful setup from Stro on the Nature's Grasp, perfectly angled. And Aquanico did not disappoint, along with Burger King right after. The fate sealed on so many members into that slicing Maelstrom. It is League of Legends in its purest form, and it's another game where Travelers start to slip up, but when the fights start happening, they are as clean as Mr. Clean's bald head.
Definitely the case here. Crazy that that just ends up being a 2 for 2. There we go. We're rolling the replay. We're ready to go. As we're going to see exactly how this will sound. Oh, can you not hear me? Did you guys hear me there?
Think we lost Gordo?
I'm back. I never went anywhere, to be honest.
I think we potentially have lost Gordo for the time being. We're going to look at this replay, though. And, oh no, we lost me. Did we lose me?
No, I think you... Oh, can you hear me now?
It was me. I think Discord...
All along. All right.
I think we're all good now.
Cool. Well, as long as Prod can hear us, as long as the stream can hear us, you guys saw that fight. You know what happened. You don't need us. So there we go. We're gonna end up. It's a 2 for 2 when all is said and done, which is pretty crazy. But it does secure Travelers the Dragon, and it does show what team fighting power they bring to the table.
And those fights are only gonna hurt more as the game goes on because there's not a lot of itemization breaking points. Like the Pyke doesn't have a bunch of punch yet, like he normally does. Kennen is behind. So the AP damage you're looking for isn't there just yet. But you got to think, later in the game, once this Kennen hits those 2 item spikes, you get Barco Duck on some of those items as well. The 2 item with the Tristana. You're not surviving that with just 2 members dying. Everybody's getting wiped the next time that lineup happens.
Yeah, definitely here. And you know, again, called this out in draft. I'm going to stand by that analysis. The Death Cards need to be the ones winning those fights because you're going to run out of the... Like, right now, Malphite and Udyr can kind of work their way through somebody. I don't think that's going to be so possible for so long. It's going to get really tough for them to be able to win these fights later on. They're going to be a low DPS composition. Stro is going to start building some tank items. And I expect Burger King at some point is going to go for the shield bow. It's just going to get harder to take down some of these members, and you aren't really going to get the damage from anywhere else.
Yep, and I like the itemization, though, for Burger King. You've got Lexus, who does a sneaky amount of AP damage. Starry does as well, along with Shredman. So he's going for that Wit's End. Beautiful third itemization. Yes, you like the shield bow to survivability, but you don't need that giant shield later when you're low if you're having so much extra magic resistance.
Absolutely here. Starting on off now. Barco Duck just looking to keep himself farmed on up. Things have calmed on the Rift for the time being. No objectives to fight for that anybody's willing to start. Aquanico with that Umbral Glaive done. Just wiping wards off the map. And securing vision around this Baron. They are aware that that red ward is there, but not willing to commit a scanner or a pink ward or anything to it. So Aquanico just going to continue to wander around, continue to clear out vision wherever he finds it. And now going to be setting on up around this top side of the map. The Travelers, they can force the Death Cards to walk into them. They know they can win the fights. The only way that Death Cards can win here is if they find themselves a great engage or a pick. And walking into the Baron buff, not a great way to do that.
I also want to advise some caution here to Starry if he's matching Burger King, because you did itemize decently heavy at this point to deal with Kennen.
Yep.
So you don't have a ton of AD resistance right now. And Burger King is, 2.5 items. So there is a very realistic world where Burger King could kill off Starry in this side lane. He will get some armor itemization going. He's likely going to take this back here. But in that pocket, Burger King had some decent-sized kill pressure.
True. There's definitely room there. I mean, the Iceborne Gauntlet's an armor item, but it's not enough on its own. Yeah, he's going for the Sunfire now. Actually, he just spent 1,800 gold. He was really sitting at quite a bit there, as ends up with the Bammy Cinder and the Chain Vest. So
I think he had the Cinder before.
Maybe I'm just blind. Maybe he did.
I thought he did. Or I'm blind. One of us is blind here.
Happens. This is the double play-by-play cast player.
Exactly.
I want to tweet the meme where it's like the utopian city in the future, and it's the world with no color commentators and just 2 play-by-plays riffing on narrative the whole cast.
I just want to troll every color caster we've ever worked with. I'm with it. I'm down. I'll get you the retweet.
Sounds good.
Or the quote tweet, whatever.
We'll make it happen.
Okay.
This is the future of League of Legends streaming. As setting up around Dragon number 3 here. We are getting ready for a potential soul point for the Travelers. Pulled over the wall is Lexus. He's just going to go CC immune and waltz his way out. Starry able to absorb a fair bit of damage as well. The Wit's End is now completed for Burger King, by the way. So he's on his first step towards being able to really resist most of the damage that the death cards are dealing out. Shredman going to have trouble finishing him off. Lexus and Starry not going to be dealing that circumstantial damage anymore. But it looks like they're actually going to try to trade it for Baron. Lexus is the first one out of the Dragon. He's going to be able to secure that one. But who is going to get up here and try to deal with this one? They pull back and Starry gets some good damage. Here's the quick get flashed away from by Barco Duck and twisting advance into the back line from the Stro. Here comes the flank with that Maelstrom. Fizzy takes down Pierce Blade, and now it's a 5 versus 4 with the Baron being started by Burger King. He actually can't tank that on his own for very long, Slayer. He's losing a lot of health.
Yeah, and he got a brunt of damage from Serranos. That little Fizzy might be picked off. Beautiful unstoppable force. The flash too late. So Shredman gets a pick. Didn't have to commit a lot. Still has perfect execution and flash, but they're trying to burn down Starry. Barco Duck can't get close enough. Stro is way too low. And here goes Shredman jumping onto the Maokai. They also get Burger King jumping too far. Shredman bides his time and might be able to cash everything in. Serranos and Shredman untouched. Winning fight SDC.
Travelers are the dog catching the car. They get the setup they wanted, and they don't know what to do with it. They find themselves 1 kill on the Rakan, and Burger King is trying to solo Baron while the others are trying to force additional picks. They lose 3 members. They're going to lose the Baron. They didn't lose the Dragon, and they're going to pick that up as a consolation prize, but a disaster for the Travelers.
Not great communication in that fight. Maybe they won't even get this Dragon. Shredman is around, but he did burn flash and perfect execution in that scuffle. So he doesn't have as much kill threat. They don't have a smite, though. Lil Fizzy keeping Shredman out of the pit. Won't take that shuriken backflip over. So they will get the Dragon. But yeah, that was just such a messy fight. You had Burger King who's thinking, oh, I see Serranos, I'm going all in. Barco Duck was dealing with Starry, trying to burn the front line down. Stro's already dead. Lil Fizzy committed all of his combo to try and get a pick earlier. And that's the problem with these Wombo combo fight compositions is it looks really bad when your ult chains are desynced.
Yeah, I think the idea was fine, right? They want to get these fights. They recognize the compositional difference. They know that if SDC have to face check into them, they're super favored. They can set up the flank from Lil Fizzy. If they just go up to the Baron, they don't care that much about getting onto Soul Point. They know that they'll be way farther ahead if they get the Baron. So it all makes sense, and they set up very nicely, and they even get the play. They get the kill on a Pierce Blade. They get the flank out of Fizzy. They end up ahead, but yeah, they have no idea what to do from there. They're desynced, they end up caught out, and yeah, they end up with a net negative play for it. Now losing some structures around the map. The gold remains neck and neck. They are on soul points, so they get that if nothing else. But that Baron for the death cards, if they can take some structures here, they're going to get themselves the gold lead.
Yeah, this is another gamble here. Burger King is staying top, getting that tier 2. He's going to back now, but I thought there was an angle for that mid tier 3 to drop. It won't. Going to rotate over, but you are not going to win the equating gold of those other 2 turrets. And You know, as much as we talk about it, the desync from Travelers being a mistake, got to give some credit over to SGC. Zoranos lands an arrow on a Burger King trying to go forward in his spirit form, and that was a really big factor in chunking him down and burning him alive as well.
Absolutely. Starry chunked out below half HP. Going to back on off, but inner turret secured there. Going to get even more gold into the pockets of the Death Cards. That's going to be probably the last thing they do with their Baron. It's going to be expiring in 45 seconds here. And it's going to be all about the Dragon Soul fight. They could crack open this mid lane inhibitor turret or something. Might give them a little bit more space to play with, but have to see if they're going to be able to piece that together in the 30 seconds remaining of their Baron. I do also want to call out Banner Command, done for Zoranos. He is going to be looking for Imperial Mandate or whatever it's called.
I was like, Banner Command, that's a callback. I'm like, I thought that was out of the game.
Dude, I'm ancient, all right? I have been around here for way too long. I've seen way too many items that I'll say anything. I'll say anything when I see that art, and I don't have too long to think about it. There's a reason I don't do color. But yeah, he's going for that kind of pseudo-supporty Ashe build. And I want to be honest, Slayer, this makes them do even less damage.
Yeah, I don't like it. If you had an AD top like an Aatrox, I like it. I like this Dangerous Grass too, into the Fate Seal. They have another lineup. They get Pierce Blade. Lexus much tankier, but Aqua Nico is chasing him down. Can he get the Harpoon? Won't. But it's another fight where Travelers pick off Pierce Blade.
Huge stuff there. They get themselves... It's Pierce Blade every time. They definitely wish they could be getting somebody else's name off the board. But they'll take it. They find themselves a good engage. They have the numbers advantage now. Probably won't manifest until too much, but at least it gives them some breathing room. They can push back out. Lexus, not caught at all. He'll be able to regroup back over to Starry.
Look, if we're talking about optimization here, you definitely would like to see a shield build from Burger King. He has doubled down on the magic resistance tree here. He's got a Maw Malmortius too, so I mean he's getting a shield, just not the one we originally thought he would build into. I really like Immortal Shield Bow on Yone. This is a situation. The situation now is Fizzy might get picked with an arrow. Gets the Slicing Maelstrom out. Shredman's way too low. The Fate Sealed is beautiful. Charms coming out from Pierce Blade, but it might be too late. The main damage already down. It has to be Zoranos. Free firing. Burger King able to get away. Barco Duck also. The knockup comes back over. The Ashe is down. The pick turned on its head. Ace Travelers.
And Lil Fizzy gets that Slicing Maelstrom off. It doesn't matter that he's in the middle of 3 members. As long as he's channeling that ultimate, he has done his job. And the damage from the Death Cards cannot come through after Shredman is down. Zoranos trying to fire away, trying to take down the 2 opposing carries, cannot do it on this champion or on this build. The Travelers get the ace. They're going to break open the base, and they're going to back off for Soul.
They finally line it up, and we saw the damage issues, right? You can't burn down... You can't burn down Lil Fizzy. I don't know why I had brain fart. Blame my play-by-play brain. You can't get to Lil Fizzy. And Shredman takes too much damage. He's now trying to go in here to cancel the Drake, but the Soul is picked up. It's going to cost Stro his life. Oh, he actually flashes over. Shredman, where is this guy going?
Wow, I mean, he was kind of close with stealing the dragon there. He's cooking something. He goes back in. He ill. He's going to get taken down by them from below. And meanwhile, Burger King has just been fighting them out in the Dragon Pit. Takes Starry incredibly low. And now it's all Lil Fizzies to clean on up. A double kill comes through for Aqua Nico. The Slicing Maelstrom is back. And it's channeled on Alexis for a triple kill to Lil Fizzy. And a second ace to the Travelers.
Lil Fizzy just called game. They have a wave mid lane. Beautiful teleport from Burger King. It's just desperation. You could smell it. The Death Cards, they didn't want to give that soul away. They thought that was their win-loss. The win con for the Travelers. Commit way too hard for it. Shredman trying to do it all on his own. Falls, comes up real close. Real close only matters in horseshoes and hand grenades. And here we have a match point. Grand Finals point for Travelers as they move to 6-0 on the season against the Death Cards.
Looking for lucky number 7, Slayer. The Travelers are on match point, have yet to drop a game to the Death Cards in 2023 Fall Risen Divine League. And they want a rematch with ISU Masters. They are solely focused on that goal, and they take themselves a second win on the night in pursuit of it, looking to make this a quick best of 5 here. The Death Cards are left shell-shocked.
And Gordo, I hate to, lean on the themes we saw in game number 1, but that game felt a lot like game number 2, cinematically. It was, all right, the Travelers come out the gate. They look pretty good in the early game. We have another little point where, they dip. They mess up. Shredman, he gets the angles on the Akali to get a lot of kills. But just when we move into the team fighting stage, the skirmishing stage, the one little mishap on the Wombo, yeah, sure, it happens again for a moment. But for the majority of those fights, the 5v5s, maybe the occasional 4v4, the Travelers just look way more polished. There's effectively a way better late game team right now.
They certainly are, and the heartbreaker for the Death Cards is how close these games have looked at times, right? They've been able to piece together fights. They're not horrifically outclassed. They have the pieces to be able to construct a win for themselves, but they just haven't been able to put them together. And in a way, that is what class is, right? It's been a very, very clean set of executions there from the Travelers. They have been able to find fight after fight. And look, we didn't love this composition, Slayer. I think that the first of the 2 aces that closed out the game really showed the damage problem. And now the Death Cards, they got to show us what they've got left. They have yet to find a way to beat the Travelers this season, and they're going to have to find ways to do it 3 times in a row. That's the last choice they have. And, I mean, they'd certainly love to do it at least once, right? Pull out all the stops, nothing left to hide. Not going to get an opportunity to surprise anybody with anything if you don't do it right here, right now. So we'll have to see what their potential last draft of the season is going to look like.
I only have one thing to say, Gordo, to be honest with you. Just let's see a blue side draft. Just go to blue side.
I think blue side's probably in the cards here. The Death Cards, if you will. I didn't even try to do that, but we found our way there.
I did the drum. You couldn't hear it. I did the...
I heard it. I saw it. I felt it.
Okay, you felt it.
All right. So there we go. I mean, Slayer's clearly sick of my jokes, so let's send it on over to a little bit of a break here as we get ready for draft for game number 3 coming up in a couple of minutes. The Death Cards have got to put something together here if they want to keep alive in this league and in this series. The Travelers looking for the clean sweep, looking for the 7-0, and looking for a rematch with ISU Masters. We'll see it when we come back. Welcome back, everybody, to the Risen Divine League, where the Travelers are up 2-0 over the Death Cards, looking to complete a perfect sweep and a perfect season up against this rival squad. 6-0 already. I'm gonna say it again, Slayer, looking for the lucky number 7.
Yeah, Gordo, last draft was as stinky as the skunk that forced me to close my window outside my room at the break there. Was not a fan of it. It was doubled down by the fact that Imperial Mandate Ash is not what you roll when you have a Malphite, Udyr, and Rakan in your composition already. You need to be doing damage, and we saw it in that last fight. If Shredman doesn't get onto those marked targets, he gets interrupted. Serrano just doesn't do enough damage. So, at least for their sake with the 7-0 on the cards here, okay, no pun intended. I say on the cards a lot of the time, and it sounds like I'm going for the pun.
I'm not even doing it on purpose. I swear
Yeah.
it was not, the pun before the break was not on purpose, but...
Yeah. But honestly, do what the Travelers just did. Go for like 4 damage dealers. Like at least have some fun if you're up against the backdrop. But I'm now realizing I'm already pissed. Do the Death Guard just not have a blue side draft prepared?
Or they just really, really think that red side's better. I mean, I didn't hate their drafting game number 1. I thought it was good.
But, I mean, at least do it just to put the Travelers on a red side draft. No, I don't know.
Yeah. Dobby's asking for more puns in Twitch chat, by the way, so we'll see what we can put together for him.
Well, Dobby can have his sock and go away.
True. Set him free. Yeah. I'm calling you out on stream, buddy. You don't need to ping me. I got you. Is the Orianna gonna be banned on away? Is the Gragas going to be? I mean, we've seen this draft before, Slayer. I'm ready for the Fiora and the Jarvan from the red side. I'm ready for the Graves and the Cassante from the blue side. SDC must change something. I think the Jarvan ban was a good idea.
Yeah.
Clearly, the Gwen ban didn't matter because it didn't even get picked.
I don't know. I'm just kind of playing this draft reactionarily, more like than trying to predict what I'm going to see here. Because I'm just assuming that Travelers are now going to ban one of Maokai J4, and then you're just going to see the opposite one get Slam B1. Oh, they leave them both up. So all right. I respect this. You're trying to get Barco Duck on something new. That's fine because the Tristana was great in game 1 and wasn't a problem in game 2. It did its job. So put him on an 80 carry that he hasn't played yet all series. That's good. That's fine. But this is just a Jarvan slam now. So
it is a Jarvan slam. I expect to see Stro on Jarvan.
Unless they're doing a content game. But I wouldn't do that with the 7-0 up.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think the 7-0 is like a fun narrative. They think the Maokai felt better. I mean, that's fine. And I think Stro's Maokai is also quite good. Regular season, he had 3 games on each. Big fan of both of those characters. Not surprised to see that he goes for one of them. Played both against this team multiple times. Of course, has won every time. So going to end up on that Maokai now. Let's see what SDC are going to start us off with. This is the Xayah Rakan angle. I like this way more than I like the Ashe shenanigans, the Ashe Rakan. So Xayah, probably Rakan upcoming. The Nautilus. They're going to pass on the Rakan.
That's okay. I mean, I know Pierceplay got picked like twice last game later, but his Rakan once again to me has been quality, like the nice meme, like nice, like that meme. It's been good. So I would have gone Rakan, and now you're also just letting Rakan go over to Aquanico if they like to play it, which is a very powerful. Their Travelers though are just doubling down on committing towards top side. I mean, Lil Fizzy gets his Renekton again. Maybe they think he would get a banned away in the second phase like game number 2, so they're going to commit it here. And they like Lil Fizzy up against Starry, so they'll give him the Renekton. But this should just be a Rakan angle in my mind. I just take the Rakan. And then STC should just take Jarvan so it doesn't get banned away in the second phase either, because they haven't had a Jarvan game. Ezreal. Oh, my golden son.
All right. Coming on through.
No.
Ooh, it's the Varus. It's the last minute Varus. I still kind of stand by. I think Gumayusi is single-handedly like put this champion back on people's radars, and he is the best Varus in the world, hands down. So I don't know that the pick is even that good. I think what's the Carrier meme? Like he had that thing about the like support Caitlyn where he's like, you are not Carrier, you do not need to pick
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like
That's how Gumayusi should be with Varus as a champion, IMO.
true.
But it's gonna get selected here by the Travelers. We'll see how Barco Duck is gonna be able to pilot that one, and that does mean the Jarvan ends up coming on over for Lexus.
Well,
So that's a new look. He gets himself onto a pretty high priority jungler, arguably the most highest priority jungler, the highest priority jungler, and the Poppy from game number 1 is that counter to the Jarvan, now no longer necessary. He's going to get himself on that. He knows he's up against the Maokai. I like that for the death cards. And then knowing they're up against that Renekton, let's see if we see the Gwen ban coming on across. Shouldn't be necessary as the Renekton is already locked. And instead, they're going to look to focus on towards the side of Burger King.
Yeah, just I mean, the simple strategy is take away the 2 champions he played last game, or in the series. They won't take away the Syndra, which I don't hate. Syndra was a little shaky with his positioning. Renata is a really good ban, actually. Wait. Yeah. It's a good ban from either team. Either team would have been a good ban for Renata, because both of them want to go engage. 2 bans given over to Shredman. He will have to play a unique champion. So on that side, they're looking to pinch that pool. And oh my god, it's not Risen playoffs without a Darius. Okay. All right, sorry. So finally they get him on a carry top laner. Let's do it. Let's see if your Darius can live up to Jagroon last night.
Yeah, I do have to say, I mean, this is a little bit more reminiscent of the strategy they used earlier in playoffs where they lost to Travelers, but potentially looking for a little change of plan here. Starry did get himself a solo kill in the last game. He did perform admirably on the Malphite, now going to give him that powerful Darius. We have seen some exciting Dariuses in the Risen Leagues lately. There's the Xerath. It's locked in, so Burger King, he's really been experimenting with that Xerath lately. He played it in the last week of the regular season. He busted it out in their 1 win over ISU, so clearly has some faith in the pick and is going to lock it in once again here.
Yeah, I like it alongside the Varus because... Oh. Okay.
We T1 now, boys.
Yeah, we really T1. Or we CCG Futures. Oh, wait, they had Caitlyn.
Yeah,
close.
Yeah.
Similar strategy, right? It's bully with range, aggro bottom lane, and also now all 3 of these dudes can just hang out together behind the Renekton and Maokai from like 500 feet out. The Vex. Hey, I mean, listen, if you see a Xerath and a Varus picked together, it's like, all right, which of all the mid laners available that isn't named Akali, which ones can I use that are AP, by the way, that can get on top of them from distance? Shadow Surge is your correct answer. None of you are getting Travi Bucks for answering correctly if you did. But Vex, I like it. I mean, it's aggressive, but at this point, why not?
Okay. All right. So, yeah, it's interesting that the Vex ends up coming on across. Like, it's interesting how she's good. Vex is good on 2 ends of the spectrum, right? Up against tons of mobility, where, you know, she can really punish you if you're dashing around way too much. You know, something like a Yasuo matchup, I think Vex actually ends up very good into, because she just gets to keep on proccing the auto attack thing. The Gloom. Doom is the fear. Gloom is the on auto thing. So she gets to just keep proccing the Gloom. Good in those kind of matchups, and good against the exact opposite, which is when you're up against a bunch of low mobility carries like Xerath, Varus, Ashe, and can just really guarantee yourself a very solid target for the Shadow Surge. Shredman is in the latter position in this game, and I do think he has been performing the best out of anybody on Travelers throughout the series. So they're going to give him the rock a little bit in the form of this Vex and see if, hey man, can you and Starry just reset 1,000,000 times in a team fight and win the game that way?
Yeah. Shredman on the Akali, I mean, we saw in the gold graph the second time, the reason that SCC got a decent gold lead for the solid 2 minutes they had in game number 2 was because Shredman's Akali got to the back line and got kills on priority targets. So you can do the same with Vex. That's what he'll look to do again. I also like Lexus on one of those meta champions. Starry versus Lil Fizzy. I feel like this will really tell the game here, because this isn't one of those lanes where it's like, okay, one of our players is playing a tank top where it's like, all right, he's likely going to be down CS, but as long as he doesn't give any kills away, it's fine. And the other guy's thinking, oh, all right, I'm playing the carry into tank. I just need to get a farm lead and some plates. This is Darius versus Renekton. Finally, we're going to have the camera pan top because these guys are not going killless in the top lane. There is going to be some brawling, and somebody is going to come out way more ahead than the other one for once in this series.
Yeah, now Lil Fizzy getting tested again here, like it's finals week, as he is going to be coming on up against the potential level 1 Darius Cheese, right? If he starts the Ghost, if he starts that W, he can camp in a bush, he can go in for the level 1, force you out of lane, really easily trigger Hemorrhage, go auto, W auto, chase you down with the Ghost, and force out summoners and an early recall. We'll see if Lil Fizzy passes that test. Pretty doable on the Renekton as long as you don't level up an ability too early. You can start slice and dice if you have to, or just play a little bit more respectfully, lead bottom side, hug away from the bush. Plenty of options up against it, but you gotta call it out because the Darius players love to go for it, and it does end up making a big difference sometimes. And calling back to older days of the Divine League, I remember BMD going for stuff like that, or I Am Sam. Depending on what era you knew him from. And it is the Ghost for Starry, as is tradition on the Darius, so going to be going for that one once again.
Once again here, and we get to these runes. Pretty standard for top laners, nothing special here. I'm just happy to see these two shrug it out, like we've been talking about, because top lane has been a snooze fest until both of them are able to rotate down and use their ultimates or be team fighters, and now we're gonna get to see them really brawl. The question becomes, how does that change the rest of the Rift? Because this is the first game where we have a lot of pressure on top lane alone, so the question becomes, all right, what does Lexus, what does TRV's jungler, what are they looking to do? Are they now going to be roaming up top more? Because I feel like they've been a lot more brought mid-centric all game, Stro and Lexus. Does this now allow the bot lanes to just be 2v2 on their own? Are we going to see mid laners path up more? It's one change to the series that I feel like could have a really big effect on the game. And especially will be if SDC break their loss streak, it's really going to throw a complete wrench in this series more than a normal win on game number 3 when down 2-0 would be, in my mind.
Definitely here. The first strike on the Xerath, what you always expect to see here. He's going to be farming up on Shredman. If he can land those skill shots, Shredman going for the Electrocute, knows that it is his space to try to burst out a single target, get a reset on that Shadow Surge, and turn that into whatever success he possibly can. I'm curious to see what the bottom lane selections are going to be as well here. Particularly for the Varus, is it going to be the Hail of Blades? Is it going to be the lethal tempo? Is it going to be the on hit? Is it going to be the lethality? And Arcane Comet. That really leans towards lethality to me.
100%. I mean, that's Gumayusi too, right? So
yep.
Makes a ton of sense here. I also, I know everyone likes to do it because Guma, but I should be checking this when I get off stream, but I'm pretty sure Varus got buffed a bit that leans towards his lethality at some point in the last month. I can see Gordo going to fact check me now.
I'm on the move.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong.
30 seconds to go. You're talking. I'll get there.
We got time. But I think that's also why you've seen him prevalently come up. It's also the added fact that the AD carry pool has been in a position where it's the most wide open it's been in a while. As an AD carry player, I will say, I think this is one of the most healthiest positions AD carry has been in because it's the most skill expressive and champ pool expressive. So this is really cool. I hope it stays that way for a while. But that's allowed champions like Varus to come up and around with the mainstays like those hyper carry Zayas, those Aphelioses, Jinx. I think I'm blanking on one other, but that's the fact that I'm blanking on one means the pool is so wide. Sivir, there you go.
And you are correct, by the way, Slayer. 13-2-1, Blighted Quiver on hit base damage, up. Slow on Hail of Arrows, up. That's going to make that Arcane Comet a little bit more reliable. As well as just making this duo of the Varus Ashe really, really adept at chasing you down, really adept at making some big punishes happen. And we'll see how Barco Duck is going to be able to push it here. I heard some spawns in the background. Barring a pause, we'll be onto the Rift here in just a couple of moments. So we're going to see is Starry on the Darius, Shredman on the Vex, dipping deep into the pools here. They've done what we asked of them, Slayer. The death cards have brought out the very last cards they had in the deck. And this is going to be their last shot at trying to keep this series going, potentially their last game in the Divine League. We're ready to get onto the Rift. Game number 3 starts right now. Travelers looking for a sweep. Death cards looking for a lifeline.
Yeah, and don't be a Swage audience. That was an intentional card pun there from Gordo. He said he brought out the deck.
I said the deck and everything.
Yeah, that one was intentional. This is a very intentional invade. Problem for Pierce Blade. They're all walking through a ward here, so that is immediately going to signal to Stro and Burger King. Hey, top lane's free for the taking. We're going to get some wards down. Stro might even just take a Raptor start here because he doesn't know if Lexus will stick around. He's going to stay there until he sees otherwise, so... you know, hate to rag on the death cards, but not going to get anything from this invade as they're just looking for some sort of stranglehold on this series.
Minions have spawned.
Indeed. And we have definitely gotten to see fight back from SDC, right? They have not just been quietly getting choked out in these games. They have kept it close, especially in the early game. And I'm not surprised to see them try to emphasize that here. It's been where they've been the strongest. That's been where they've been able to get themselves advantages over the Travelers. And they're going to see if they can just push that just a tiny bit further. Starting off with this invade, looks like they are, at the very least, going to be able to try to 3-camp the Stro.
Yep. So they at least are going to put Lexus on that priority jungler a bit ahead here. But you've surrendered intel for Stro, who is playing... is playing Maokai, so it's like... Yeah, I don't mind being down CS if I can use intel to get advantages for my laners. And that'll be what to watch here. Burger King, I'm assuming by the fact that he chunked down Shredbed decently, he did get a first strike proc already going there. The top side's where we're going to be looking. I believe that's a Chroma for Dunkmaster Darius, so those puns are going to be flying.
Yeah, it is. I don't know what the Chroma is. It looks like, looks almost like a Gen G jersey or something there, right? With the white and the gold.
Yeah, I don't like it. Not a fan.
Player
rejects.
For sure. Little trades early there with Fizzy. Fizzy able to keep inside the blade on that decimate. That's crucial for winning out on these trades with Darius and evading another one there. Very nice stuff from Fizzy in this early game.
Yeah, that's the gotcha part of Darius's kit, especially level 6 or pre-level 6s. Oh, it's another good trade. He's gonna finally eat one of those decimates, but it was basically after he drops down a big combo. Stro is on a ward here. Oh, this guy's dead.
Yeah, he is pretty caught in the middle of nowhere. Lexus gonna smite away the red buff too. Oh. All going wrong for the Stro there.
You know what? I didn't respect Lexus's game too much there. I'm assuming either him or Starry. Oh, Starry gets a pull into turret. Fizzy's going to tank 2 turret shots, which makes that a way worse trade. But Starry drops a ward on his jungler's red buff so that when Stro wanted to go for that invade, he gets spotted and then gets punished with the fast reset from Lexus. That's actually really well played. Credit over to you, Lexus. Yeah, sure, the invade as a brunt looks like a fail because you don't catch anybody, but actually... the invade was kind of like a setup, almost. Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah, absolutely. And the setup continues. Stro going to win the smite fight this time around and does secure that for himself. Bot lane's coming on up. Fizzy going on in. Get that Ruthless Predator onto Starry, looking for the solo kill. And Lil Fizzy takes him down.
He had flash available. He could have flashed away, then charged the Decimate to try and trade it. He thought maybe Fizzy would follow him. He wouldn't get the heal. I don't know. Doesn't get the flash off. Regardless, that's a big kill. Pierce Blade going to land that Dredgenaught onto Bart Go Duck, but Serranos can't step up, so nothing much to have here but some poke back. And, you know, I talked about it. Oh, my God, it's a lot of poke. Pierce Blade very, very low now.
So slow.
Oh, but here's Lexus.
Yeah, Lexus trying to turn it around here. Goes in for the flag and drag. Pierce Blade pulls him back on in with the Death Charge. Aquanico trying to flash back away, but going to get taken down by Zoronos as the Death Cards get themselves a second kill on the board.
That's really good because we talked about how lopsided the top side will end up at some point unless junglers have an impact. And Travelers are going to have their advantage with Lil Fizzy, so Lexus is going to try and get something back on the other side. Already 2 KP. Looking for more. Stroh's here, and oh, that teleport from Fizzy is going to be massive. And now they've got Lexus caught. The flag and drag will land through, but Lil Fizzy going after Zeranos forces his flash out. Lexus and company going to get followed. Zeranos has no way out. Lil Fizzy imprinting on this game, but is he going to come up short with the kill? Zeranos somehow escapes near death.
Wow, managing to evade that, doesn't even need to use the cleanse. Burger King finding himself isolated up against Starry. He's got to be dead. There's nothing he can do.
What is this game? What is going on here? We have mid laners rotating top to cover waves and dying. We've got failed kills onto 80 carries without summoners, low HP. What matters most is STC. They've come out with their biggest gold lead early on of this entire series. They don't want that 7-0.
They do not, and they've built themselves up about a 1.5k advantage now in their hands at 5 minutes. That is quite substantial. And getting the gold where they want it to. One onto Starry, one onto Zeranos, one onto Shredman. These carries going to be well set on up, especially for Starry. Great that he was able to pick that up against Burger King, having been set behind earlier on. Going to equalize up against this Renekton a little bit. And Lil Fizzy has been looking so good, so comfortable on the Crocodile this series so far. Being able to stay on pace with him is going to be huge, and can he even build himself up a CS lead now as this wave crashes in and he's able to clean it up.
And I don't hate this from Stroh. I'm assuming this is just to make sure waves are able to be crashed for Lil Fizzy. But actually, I think this is a lane gank because Lil Fizzy just took a reset. So, yeah, they're going to fight out, try to catch Starry. They get Twisted Advance. The Dominus pops. Starry getting stunned up. They're diving a little too far into turret, and they can't commit the kill. They do at least get Shredman's teleport out.
That's not nothing. But meanwhile, the Death Cards are starting on up the Dragon. They feel like they don't need Shredman, although Shredman getting caught in rotation, tries to flash away. Twisting Advance going to follow. Here comes that Arcane Barrage from the Xerath, but the dunks from Starry are going to pick up a double kill for the Death Cards.
Oh, Stroh is just too far behind to be going that far up by himself, and now Burger King might be caught. The Hex Flash from Pierce Blade. Lexus has the angle. Burger King with no flash gets pulled back in. One more Q could do it for Lexus. The Death Guards are finally firing in this series.
Indexing even heavier into the early game. The Death Cards are up 5 kills at 7 minutes and 30 seconds. And 3.5k gold in the lead. Ready to move on down towards Dragon number 2 once it does spawn. They already picked themselves up that first one. And really, really starting to run with it in this early game. The Travelers have got to take their feet off the gas. They've got to calm down and play defensively up against this Death Cards roster, as they are just playing up way too far and getting punished for it time and time again.
You gotta think, if the Stroh didn't have such a disastrous early game start, does he die that quickly? Does he burn down that quickly to Shredman and Starry? Because he went for it all. Lil Fizzy didn't have the cooldowns to slice and dice his way over that wall, and that interrupt was enough to leave Starry the window that got himself that double kill. And now, you know, I'm still gonna hold true that somebody's coming out of this top lane way better than the other one. It's just, we flipped it on its head.
We absolutely have. And now with a big lead to Starry, once he's able to fully cash out on what he's manifested for himself up there, it is going to be massive for his one-on-one. It's actually, he already has spent, so it's about as strong as he's going to be for the time being, but he's definitely going to hit those thresholds just a little bit sooner than the Renekton will, and keeping a big wave pushed on in, has a little bit of an XP advantage as well. Feeling very good in this matchup as his team's going to start on up the Rift Herald.
And this kind of stinks for Lil Fizzy, because in reality, he's only given away 1 kill. But because his teammates have also fallen to this Darius, he's so much further behind. And I like this play from Pierceblade once more, roaming. This is how you punish a Xerath. Immobile turret he is, but Immobile is really going to be the singing word here. How does that dredge line miss? All right, well, it didn't matter, but that was the weirdest interaction I've seen from the dredge line in a while.
Yeah, getting the thin vertical part of the anchor there a little bit. Very strange, but goes down either way. Didn't really have a good escape route there. The flash just coming up now, by the way, very well timed by the Death Cards to know that that is still down and securing themselves now their 3rd kill up against Burger King. Starry, big trade angle here, going to fully proc that passive.
Oh,
Here
he's
comes
got
the
it.
Nature's Grasp. They're trying to turn it around, but that dunk is going to be absolutely massive. Fizzy's got to build some distance, but he's going to go down to the hemorrhage. He's bleeding out underneath this turret, and Starry's on a rampage.
And Stro, he's still so far behind. He doesn't have any damage in his kit. He can't find a trade. He's 0-2 with nothing to hit. You got to think that play is a kill onto Starry, if not for the lead he's amassed off the overextensions from Travelers. They're starting to risk it. They're going risky, trying to get some foothold in this game, and they keep slipping time after time.
Absolutely here, just diving way too deep up against that fully hemorrhage-stacked Darius. The extra AD plus that burn down from the bleed gets Lil Fizzy down, and Starry walks away from that gank richer than ever before. SDC now up 8-1, looking to turn this series around, looking to end their loss streak up against the Travelers, and so well positioned to do so.
Now you got to think, if you're the Death Cards, why haven't we just been giving Starry carry top laners this whole series? I know in previous matchups that kind of burned them, but now you got to think back to these drafts. All right, this is what happens when we give Lexus a meta jungler. This is what happens when we give Starry a damage-dealing top laner. How do we change our drafts going forward if we can get to this game 4, which they are very likely suited to do so with a 5K gold lead nearly at 12 minutes?
Yeah, and that's coach problem right now, because Death Cards have got to keep their foot on the gas here. They have been in advantageous positions in this series before and have taken poor fights to give it back away. Let's have to see if they're going to be able to avoid doing that this time here. There's still plenty of strength available for the Travelers. They are a very powerful poke composition, and if they can keep their distance and really just hammer away at the Death Cards for long enough, they can build themselves advantages. Now getting ready to just keep on stacking up these dragons. Pierceblade and Lexus just camping around, looking for an angle.
I mean,
there's the flash in. Nice flash away from Burger King. He'll stay alive.
But like we said, they've got that on cooldown tracked, and it's like, okay, at the very least, we're trading a not Flash, who with Hex Flash, for a Xerath Flash. And Pierceblade, great knowledge of the timers. You mentioned it earlier. He's just going to keep track of that, and every time until laning's over, he's going to go try and kill off Burger King or get his Flash. And with Flash down on cooldown for Xerath, it makes the game so much harder for him against a Vex, against a Jarvan, against a Darius with Ghost Pop running at him, and this Nautilus. It's going to be a rougher game for Burger King. It does not get better. There is no light at the end of the tunnel right now.
Yeah, now going to be a lot of pressure on this little Xerath in the mid
here we
lane.
go.
He's just going to get hit by the Shadow Surge. Shredman's just going to all in him, and he crushes him in the mid lane.
I mean, you saw what he was trying to do from the beginning. He postured near that wall, so he knew he couldn't get caught on vision. Starry's going to flash to get more of a combo. Takes a turret shot. The dunk doesn't have enough to kill Lil Fizzy. The hemorrhage is going to tick him down very low, and all of that's going on top side. More gold found on the other part. Ooh. You have a Barco Duck roam up that whiffs the chains of corruption. So you get Starry's Ghost, but that's it.
What a disaster there, as they're just trying to force something up in that top lane out against Starry. He does blow both summoners there, but Lil Fizzy going to have to TP back and just going to have to continue to deal with the mess that's been created up there. Starry pushed back away. Stro coming on up. They want this shutdown gold. They've decided this is their best path back into the game, but Starry is not giving them anything. He's trying to force out that recall to stop, and Fizzy takes 2 turret shots. Here comes Nature's Grasp. This is gross. This is not happening.
Oh, Starry has just got them in a mental box right now. He will not give them any angle onto him to get that shutdown. And Lil Fizzy, yeah, his desperation nearly gets him killed. At this point, Stro, you just got to look somewhere else to get back in this game, man, because oh my god, is this rough. The back does get off for Lil Fizzy, but now you've left Stro alone. No wave, though, means that no dive, but still, I mean, you get nothing from that play.
Nothing at all. Nothing at all. As up about 7K now are the Death Cards at 14 minutes in. Landing another Shadow Surge. Shredman looking for the one shot. Doesn't quite have it. Barco Duck flashes. He goes for Chains of Corruption. It doesn't connect. Here comes the ultimates. He's going to land a couple of them, generate a little bit of money off the first strike. Wow! The damage knowledge from Barco Duck nearly taking him down and forcing the flash away. Shredman will escape, but forced to flash out. Does have to blow a little bit of something.
I've been physically wincing these last 3 minutes of this game. It hurts. It hurts. You can't pick a skill shot comp if you're not going to hit any of your goddamn skill shots, Barco Duck. Maybe they should be banned just on this entire time, man. He isn't going to change the corruption all game long. I hate to be harping on him, but you roam top to get a play, you whiff it, you get nothing, you have to path back, and you flash, go for another one, you get nothing, and it just hurts.
Yeah, not a lot of cross map coming out here either. They are going to land the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. They're trying to burn down Pierce Blade.
Okay.
They will be able to do it. Lil Fizzy picking up that kill. Dodge away from Zoronos, flash away from Zoronos, flash after from the Stro. There's the Nature's Grasp. Spro's already gone. Not going to be able to find another target. Gets knocked up by Lexus. They are going to look to chase down Starry. They actually have the numbers here. Bat shutdown for Burger King. Stro out in the middle of nowhere is going to drop to Lexus, but that's 2 kills to the Travelers, one of them being a pretty big shutdown onto the Xerath. They'll take that.
Yeah, I mean, that's finally a win. Somewhere they find a win, but right when you get a little bit of an edge, Shredman's going to hunt for it. He's got Shadow Surge up. Pinpoint lands it, and that is a dead Xerath.
That is a forgiving hitbox right there. That's a thick one. As Burger King gets snagged again. Once again, right before his flash comes up, by the way. So we can see how this play broke down up on the top side. You can see Stro was chasing very hard to try to pick up Zoronos. Doesn't find him, but they still get themselves cashed out a little bit.
If I'm Death Cards here, they're all burning Pierce Blade. I really don't hate going in here. Starry had, ult available. Lexus has Cataclysm. They kind of just let Pierce Blade die, and ends up costing Starry his life as well. I mean, you know you're up like way more gold, way better items. Sure, you don't have the numbers advantage, but with the lead they had, I would have much rather they try and fight their way out than just limp out and give away 2 kills.
Yep. That is a needlessly large rod now on to the Xerath. He's got to get a few more items in the tank here. And then, the immobility of some of these folks really going to give some good fight states for that Xerath if they're able to get up, especially if some of the allies are landing CC and are guaranteeing that those barrages do end up coming on through. But he's a ways away from that, and his team is well and truly behind. So gonna have to find some way to piece it together soon. Easy soul point for STC. No contest being staged.
First game where we finally see Drake's going down earlier, and Lexus, who's having a fantastic game on the J4 finally, has been timing them really well. So grabs that. The soul secure moment will now be, what, 22:50 on the clock? Stupidly early for an Ocean Soul of all souls, one of the most powerful. And that's going to force this poke comp to go into a choke point where they will get routed unless something fantastic happens.
Well, Rite of the Arcane is back and available. Going to be looking for Burger King to just try to keep on farming up with his first strike and with just regular CS as well. I do really think the game's got to be about him. Chains of Corruption finds nobody once again. Ash Arrow finds nobody either. SDC have evaded the engage, and now they have one of their own, locking down the Stro and taking him down. Reset on the Shadows. How connecting, man. This champion's ridiculous. Fizzy turning it back around, takes down Shredman. He underestimates the power of the Renekton at this stage of the game, and now Rite of the Arcane blasts, landing across the rest of the Death Cards. Starry is teleported in, or is ghosted in, rather, as he's looking to find anybody he can. Hook back in into Barco Duck, but the follow-up damage cannot present itself. Lexus on the flank, looking for a flag and drag in, but knows that he's got to call it quits on the play. It's a 1-for-1 when all is said and done.
I don't know how that ends up with a 1-for-1. And also, Karma, Shredman, you know what? You shouldn't have even hit that Shadow Surge, so you died a little fizzy. But this is still the Traveler stalling until that hook back into the feathers, flag and drag. All of it lines up so well. Starry finally able to find a kill, but it's still only one when I think it should be so much more for the Death Cards.
Yeah, once again, very nicely done by Fizzy there. He gets the Gore Drinker onto 2. He uses the Slice and Dice to get himself out. And he does manage to stay alive. It will be 1 kill apiece. Let's check out this play once again.
Oh, thank God I don't have to watch the ults get whiffed again. It's just painful. I mean, yeah, once all the engage tools that Travelers have are down, go in. That's just a stupid hitbox. So
Yeah, no, it's like you should have seen another ult whiff there.
yeah, should have been another one down. But well, Fizzy, yeah, it's been rough topside, but what we talked about is Little Fizzy really hasn't been the one that's been dying a lot. He's been farming up well. He had that solo kill, so he's arguably the strongest member on Travelers. So a little bit overzealous there from Shredman. This is where I don't understand how nobody dies. I mean, you Cataclysm the 2 marksmen in, not much of a follow-up. Starry misses the pullback in the guy onto the Renekton in the Cataclysm. But here's where he makes up for it. He doesn't have to expend his flash, but good window. He sees an opportunity where they're all kind of grouped up on top of the Rift Herald and grabs that Varus.
Ooh, Stro finding himself caught on out. Nice dodge away, though, with the twisting advance. Actually, a lot of damage coming back on Alexis. Lexus looking to drop here before too long. Fizzy is buying space and buying time as Rite of the Arcane starts to rain across the back line. Zoronos taken below half HP by this Xerath. One more shot, gonna bring him even lower. Fizzy
Shredman
advancing forward onto Shredman. The poke comes on across, and it's happening again, Slayer. The Travelers are finding their fights post 20 minutes.
Oh, God. Shredman fails that flash over the wall. He might have lived away from Lil Fizzy, too. You need to get closer to it. But, yeah, they're getting the shutdowns. They're chipping away. And all they have to do is avoid the initial engage. And there's an arrow just for some defense. You got to keep in mind with every one of these fights, the longer they go, the more engage tools Travelers avoid, dodge, stay alive through. There you got an Ashe raining down, a Varus, and this very sneakily powerful Burger King who, once he takes his back, I gotta think is gonna get at least to 2 items.
Yeah, definitely. He's looking to pick on up that Shadow Flame. It's going to be ready soon. Fizzy with the double dash through that Rift Scuttler. Stro smites it down. They're going to have to back away. This is a minute away from the Dragon. You can't go too aggressive here. Chains of Corruption finally lands onto somebody and does a crucial slowdown on this potential fight. Fizzy's taken low. He's sustaining back up through Call the Meek. He's going to trade 1-for-1 with Lexus. As Burger King has teleported back into play. A big reset for Shredman. He lands it onto Burger King. He's going to look to chase him the rest of the way down. But the damage coming back out across from the carries. One more Arcano Pulse will snipe him down. And SDC are forced to back away as the shots continue to rain on through. There's one more piercing arrow, one more hail of arrows, and one more Arcano Pulse will do it. The Rite of the Arcane, it's coming up in 1 second. It's up now, as here's the channel. Pierce Blade takes 2. Here comes number 3. Number 4 would take him out, and Barco Duck will be able to land the shot.
SDC, they're crumbling. They need to synergize. Lexus is just looking to do too much on his own. You can't be going off alone trying to catch Lil Fizzy and then falling, because now your jungler's down for this Drake. He actually respawns in time. Might catch him on a reset, but he can't move. The Chains of Corruption, the Ashe Arrow. Finally, the Travelers will light up those ultimates, and they're going to get so much for it.
Lexus can't play the game. He's trapped. He can't move from the ramp. He's held still for like 7 seconds while the Dragon's taken in front of him. He loses the soul, he loses his life, and the Travelers are back in this game.
Oh, the gold lead's still somewhat there. The itemization time periods, though, are starting to come through here. You've got Burger King on 2 items. He's got that Shadow Flame. He's also got another needlessly large rod, so he's already halfway to a Rabadon's. 2 items for Lil Fizzy. Barco Duck gonna hit that Mana Immune at a certain point here. Gotta think that Aqua Nico now is nearing a first item. The most important one is the Stro finally getting tanky enough, and boy, we actually have a game on our hands.
Oh, we certainly do, Slayer. And what I gotta give a lot of props to Lil Fizzy here, by the way. He has been buying so much
100%.
space in these fights on the Renekton. Skipping out of the Black Cleaver this time, going a little bit more aggressively itemized, able to dish out the damage, able to know where his moments are to go in and go out, and giving the space for Burger King and Barco Duck to land their shots. And finally, they start hitting the skills, and the wins start coming. 10-15 on the scoreboard. Still a 4K gold lead for SDC. still a substantial turret lead for SDC. They're still ahead, but these last couple of fights have shown that there is gameplay to be had from the Travelers on this composition.
And like you mentioned, Lil Fizzy getting as much real estate out of his dominance, his Gore Drinker, all that healing. This looked dire. Lands the Shadow Surge onto 3 members, but Burger King flashing over the wall. The cooldowns aren't just up, and Shredman once again just a little too far forward on his own. That's been the marker in these fights, is Shredman and Lexus are kind of playing their own game, and it's going to cost SDC the game 3 if it keeps happening here. If they can line up all these ultimates, they can do some serious damage, and there we go. They finally catch Lil Fizzy, but the poke is deadly. Shredman gonna Zhonya's the arrow, but he's still gonna fall. Starry on the front line on Destro. They get the flag and drag. Cataclysm immediately flashed away by Aqua Nico. They can't get to the air. These carries, the poke is still raining down. The front line's all gone. Starry pulled back into the dunk. He seals the fight win.
Triple kill to Starry, and now it's only Barco Duck left alive. If this minion life can get kept safe, they might be able to take the whole dang game. Slayer breaking their way through the inhibitor. 30 seconds to go, 10 seconds on Lil Fizzy. They're not going to be able to end it yet. They're trying to hunt down Barco Duck. They found him, but it's just Lexus, and he might get it turned around on him. They're starting out of the Nexus turrets. Fizzy's up in 1 second. There's only 2 more minions. They can't do it. Fizzy's going to force him out.
Well, now they're going to fight his way forward. Takes a ton of damage. What? They're teleporting in here. They're trying to cut off flanks. They've got Barco Duck in the background. Everyone else is respawning. Fizzy's going for it. Cleanse out the arrow. They still can hit Serranos through the Feather Storm. The shutdowns line up. SCC, they gamble once again too much. And look how much it's going to cost them. Burger King teleporting in, gets the slow, doesn't land the stun. Shredman will get one on the trade, but he loses his top laner. Stro on top of him, waiting for his cooldowns to come back up. And they're going to land the kills. Now it's all on to Lexus. Gets one shutdown, but he's all alone versus 3. He gambled only to kill off the support Ash, and it's gonna cost him so much more. Baron is up. Lexus still able to run away though. The slow's not there just yet. Right of the arcade. Gotta hit your skill shots here. Burger King, you gotta land one, and he doesn't get any of them, but the Stro gets the kill, and Baron in the eye of Travelers.
It's an absolute slobber knocker, Slayer. They're going back and forth all over the place. Travelers lose a Nexus turret, but they strike back. They take down multiple kills, and they are absolutely still in this game. The death cards are coming back up. They're trying to focus down Fizzy. Fizzy's taking too many turret shots. The last one nearly takes him down, but he will be able to get back out in time. And a chance to Cristalero. The cooldown's so low. Nico just keeps throwing it out there. He actually hit one on a Starry there.
Oh my god, this is just sloppy league over and over again. But this is just not recognizing the death timers. Yeah, you get the Nexus turret, but realistically, if they had just taken the inhibitor reset, they could all be on Baron right now. Maybe with Barco Duck not being able to get killed off, he doesn't get the reset. They're worried about him behind, but this is the arrow. I mean, the Feather Storm, you got to think if it's up for another half second, that arrow might go through. That's not a double kill, and then what a teleport from Burger King. Sure, we're not going to talk about how he whiffs the skill shots, but the slows was what counted.
And this is Soul. It's breaking out once again. Lil Fizzy in the front line, going in for the engage. Nature's Grasp holding them in place. A double kill for Stro as the piercing arrow pierces the SDC squad. Big Cataclysm locks everybody down. Sorano with the Feather Storm across 3 will cut through the Travelers just the same. It's a quadra kill for Soranos, and pings out of the Nexus mean the death cards are looking to end this win streak from the Travelers. They want to get themselves back into this series.
The Ranos just saved the season for the death cards. Flashing forward with the Feather Storm, he knew he had the damage left, didn't care about his health bar. No, this is over, Gordo. They're chunking it down way too low. It's too late. The 7-0 is dead. The series still alive for the Death Guards. What is happening?
And the early game indexing pays off, Slayer. This is how the Death Cards can win themselves games in this series. They build up a massive lead. The Travelers nearly scrape it back, clawing their way to near parity.
but the Travelers cannot get far enough. The Death Cards shut it out, nearly losing out on a base race on their own right, but getting there a second time, closing it out before the respawns come through. A massive quadra kill for Zoronos on the Xayah saves that game, and you got to give it to Lexus as well for cataclysming them and them all in there, keeping them in place for the setup. And the Death Cards have ended it. They've ended their loss streak. They've broken the curse. And now have a shot in this series. It's back to, it's going to be completely even coming into game number 4. Forget what you know. Forget what you've seen.
But I can't forget what I see from that game, because if we're thinking in hindsight, there is zero reason this game should have gone anywhere close to this point. I mean, look, they have a 7,000 gold lead at 15, 18 minutes. Like,
They have a 5,000 gold lead when they lose.
Yeah, I mean.
All right, well, no, when they win, but
yeah, when they win. But no, that's the point, right? Like, this, as great as it is that they got they stopped the streak, they finally win a game in the series, they win against Travelers. This game shouldn't have been close. We should have been struggling for things to talk about going into the end of this Nexus take. But boy, did the Death Guards, they put a little bit of content at the end of this game. That's how I'll phrase it.
Sure. You could definitely say that as, yeah, listen, the Xerath for Burger King, I think, really starts to show why they have started to value this pick so much here. The second he hits 2 items, he becomes a completely different champion and is nearly able to pull this game back. And a lot of that goes to Lil Fizzy buying space. A lot of it goes to Marco Duck finding big engages on the Xerath, or on the Varus as well. But yeah, the poke comp from the Death Cards just from the Travelers taking just a little too long to come online, and gives the Death Cards their space back into this game. Now, let's see who exactly is going to be able to change things up coming into game number 4, right? Do the Travelers, do you keep going to what's been working, or do you force the Death Cards onto an uncomfortable side? Do the Travelers select red now? That's one of those questions you got to be wondering. And then, if you're the Death Cards, right, how hard are you going to index into early game coming into game number 4? Because, oh boy, does that seem to be your recipe.
Yeah, the recipe seems, even in that last game when you started kind of throwing the late game with the lead you had, if you're the Death Guards, you have to win so hard early that when you start kind of throwing fights later, it's not enough, which is not a recipe for success usually. And I can't believe you mentioned it. I can't believe we're living in a world where the red prio is so much that I'm actually telling the Travelers to pick red side off of laws just to put the Death Cards on blue side for a game.
Well, that's the question. You were begging for a Death Cards blue side in games 2 and 3. So, is that even the recipe, right? Or do you just need to deny stuff like this Renekton and trust that that's going to be enough? We'll have to see.
We'll figure it out.
We will. We're gonna throw a 2 quick break here. I need a breather. we're gonna be back with draft for game number 4, as this series is going longer than anybody thought. Slayer, it's still on here. The Travelers still on match point, but now having been punched in the mouth and taking their first loss of the season to the Death Cards. Welcome back, everyone. They have done it. The Travelers are
Oh my
on the
God.
red side. Death Cards take to the blue side as they are looking to continue a potential reverse sweep here up against the Travelers. Looking so down and out in the first 2 games and nearly giving it away in the third. The Death Cards now restabilize, reinvigorate themselves with a win, and are looking to revitalize this series.
The question becomes, do the Death Cards have a blue side draft prepared? Of course they do. I'm joking when I say they don't have a blue side draft prepared. But it does change the dynamics of this, entire thing. Because you now give Travelers more counter pick ability. And, for all the hype that blue side gets for the prio picks you can get, we've been focusing on the early game of this series. I think red side is a much better early game drafting side because you're more likely to get counter picks. And those counter picks most likely show up in lanes. Laning phase happens in early game. So I actually do like the switch for Travelers. They're confident that they can play the macro moments of the later stages when they're grouped up, so they want to beef themselves up draft-wise for the stage where they struggled most in the series, which is the early game. We fly through the picks and bans, though. I see Jarvan is up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, oh.
Ooh,
All right.
They choose the Xayah. All right. I mean, that was what came up for them huge at the very end there. It does mean that Jarvan Rakan is a rotation that the Travelers can take for themselves here. I would advocate for that. I think it's a wise decision, although SDC opted away from the Xayah Rakan duo last game, opting for the Nautilus instead. So who knows? Maybe they do not have the Rakan priority for this series any longer. I still would not mind a Jarvan Rakan rotation from Travelers here. There goes that Jarvan. Do we see the Rakan? Do we see a little something different? If they do want to take that Renekton, this would be a good spot for that as well. Has been huge for Lil Fizzy in this series, and I would not mind them choosing to blind it, knowing that, hey, the Rakan prio seems to have dipped down a little bit. They might not take it even if we leave it up.
Yep. There are a couple options certainly available. You could slam the Rakan. Do you want an AD carry? Do you want to slam the Tristana now for Barco
Yeah.
there? They take the Rakan, so they take a while to get to it, Gordo, but they do go to your rotation. And usually now for Travelers, I'm curious what their AD carry selection looks like. They don't have the Tristana banned away like last game, so you could just put Barco back on that one. But the more pressing question becomes, what do the Death Cards want to put around Xayah? Because we talked about they like early game Onus, and they're going to go back to the game 1 Poppy. This wasn't the jungle for Lexus last time, but it still serves as a flex pick at this point in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, I would be a big advocate for snagging away the Renekton here. It's been a favorite of Starry's all season long, and it denies it from Lil Fizzy. Instead, looking at that Nautilus, they love that Xayah Nautilus duo. They've decided that is what they are going to put their eggs in. The Poppy could potentially be flexed up to top lane if Lil Fizzy does go for this Renekton. No, not seeing what was locked in, but they're already on the ban here, so we'll find out in the chat what this pick is. Oh, it's Zeri. I see the name. We just don't have the Zeri art.
No icon.
Interesting to see that Zeri prio. So, I mean, Travelers indexing even harder into the scaling and just say, hey,
Yeah.
man, we got to the point where our Xerath was scaled last game. We were on Poke Varus, and we still nearly did it. So now opting even more heavily into that scaling department as Ban's getting slung back and forth at the mid lane now. Burger King going to lose access to his Yone. The Nico going to get taken off the board for Shredman.
Yeah, so, I mean, do we just index target mid lane bans, or are we going to throw a top lane ban in there at some point? I would expect a Renekton ban is... Oh, the draft went a little crazy there.
Whoa, there's Zeri. We got her.
The Death Cards ban... Death Cards banning... Oh, no, that was Lil Fizzy to play Kennen. So they would rather take away his Kennen than take away his Renekton. The Kennen will be better for the team fight aspect of the Wombo with everything they've drafted around them. But I still think Lil Fizzy's been better on the Renekton overall in the series. He's like the best. Angle. So I think, yeah, this is a Renekton slam. That's a curveball because I think Burger King looked... I mean, the Xerath was really shaky early. But, I mean, Burger King got picked a lot on the Syndra in game number 1 when he picked it, and that kind of was the reason why the game 1 got close. So they want to prio the Syndra, and they want to give Lil Fizzy the counter. So I don't hate not taking the Renekton if you want to give him the surefire counter pick and play through arguably your best player of the series.
Sure. As the Akali going to be the selection once again here, was a really impressive showing from Shredman on that pick last time around, and the set will be the blind pick for the Death Guards. I mean, I think a great counter pick to the set is the Renekton. He's so mobile. He gets to dash around with Slice and Dice. He can rip right through your big Haymaker shield because Cole the Meek, or not Cole the Meek, Ruthless Predator shreds shields. This is a... Come on, man. Just go the Renekton. What are we... I mean... Olaf's fine. I won't hate the Olaf. I just don't understand why, like, Renekton is so good in a set. He's like the #1 pick against set. And you've been so good on this series. But it's Olaf. All right. It also, like, Olaf doesn't work with Jarvan, but whatever. All right.
Yeah, man. I mean, Ragnarok gets you through a lot, but you can't run through structures, man. You're not phasing through walls. I'm scared this is going to backfire really bad. Because Renekton... I mean... It won't matter. It won't matter if Olaf just Giga Stomps top like you expect him to, but I agree with you, I think when you're going 1v1 against the set, the main goal screaming in your head all the time is, okay, I need to dodge his W. If I dodge his W at the end of a trade, set is usually going to lose that trade. That's what he hinges on. That's his gotcha. That's like, Darius getting max hemorrhage stacks. He needs to do that or he's losing a trade. Olaf doesn't have a real way to dodge the W except when it starts getting casted, just run past him. Slice and Dice is way better at getting behind that. So it's a different look at least. Lil Fizzy is now playing a different champion in this matchup. And it's once again though, Gordo, for the second time in this series, second time in this series. It's the top lane matchup where, like, somebody's going to come out of here way ahead than the other one. Like, this isn't going to be boring.
I agree. It's going to be a pretty one-sided matchup. I got to believe the only reason to avoid the Renekton here is that you are just really scared of Lexus's Poppy. And, like, you just don't want it disrupting your ability to run around in team fights and be that kind of flexible frontline threat that Fizzy has really been for this team throughout the night, right? He's been able to buy so much space on that champion. So that's really been the big difference maker here. We'll have to see if he can do that on the Olaf, right? But yeah, clearly just does not want to have to deal with that steadfast presence interrupting what he's going for. And then, real powerful scaling once again coming on through here for the side of the Travelers. They've got the Syndra in the mid lane, they got the Zeri in the bot lane. They've indexed pretty hard into being able to deal with that. And I do have to say, I think the Zeri is quite good here. I don't think they have very many reliable ways to lock her down. They're going to have to just depth charge her at every single fight. That's the only option they have. So if she's able to keep good distance from the Nautilus, this is going to be a very big Barco Duck game.
And is this Aqua Nico's first Rakan game as well of the series? I believe so.
Yeah, because he didn't go for it in game number 3, and it was on the Death Cards in games 1 and 2.
It was Pyke, yeah. So this is the first Rakan game. So Aqua Nico, I mean, the best thing for Aqua Nico, I think he's gonna have the Young Sung support effect is if I almost wouldn't rely too much on being the big engage in this game as you would expect Rakan. Aqua Nico should be tunnel visioning onto Shredman. And maybe Starry when he ults, the Showstopper, or Supreme Display of Talent. Sorry, that's the one that's sets. But you see Shredman going
down is Kiana. It is Showstopper for set.
Oh shoot, I switched them in my head. I always switch those two in my head. Yeah, anyways,
the only reason I remember the Kiana one is because I hate that ultimate name. I hate it so much.
Yeah, it's such a weird name for what her ultimate does.
Man. Yeah. We don't have to talk about Kiana though. She's not in the game.
Yeah, my point here, Gordon. I'm gonna get it quick. Aqua Nico, if he can just charm up Shredman or maybe knock him up when he's trying to get to Barco Duck, it might have a better effect on the fight than if he's following Stro in with the Cataclysm getting the charms as well, because you can realistically kind of play front to back later in the fights with the comp you've drafted if you're Travelers.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. I think that's certainly an option that's available to them in this game, is to just play front to back. The question is always just going to be for the side of the death cards, right? How are you going to be able to get on Zeri? Are you going to be able to get on Zeri? Then can you take her out of the game, right? And Shredman can do that if he finds the opportunity to do it. It's really going to have to be him pairing on up with Pierce Blade and the depth charge combos coming on across. Starry has some good targets he can go for here. He's going to be looking to showstopper out the Stro, like you said, pretty frequently in these fights. And if he can get a good dunk on towards the rest of the team, that's always going to be great as well. Needs to be very careful to not try to pick up Olaf, as he will just cleanse right out of it with Ragnarok. And then one frontliner is just flying away and the other is running right at your team. And that's not a situation you want to find yourself in if you are in the death card's shoes. And yeah, we're going to have to see which of these top laners ends up coming out ahead in the laning phase as well, as this is going to be a big kind of brawling top lane matchup between both guys who love to get low on HP and love to take the fights to the very knife's edge. So we're going to get like one or two really cool, really close top lane fights, and then it's going to get real one-sided.
Yeah, 100%. And now I'm starting to realize why the Olaf was a better pick, because you mentioned it. I think Lil Fizzy quite literally picked the Olaf so that he doesn't have to worry about setting fights. I like it because even if he picks Renekton, and even if you see a showstopper from Starry that isn't directed at the back line, I think you're winning the fight by just pulling the Renekton out. Like, It doesn't even matter if you're getting the slow of the landing. If you're pulling him into a 1v1, that's really good. That's also why Cassante is always a great answer to Renekton, because later he can just pull the Dominus bound Renekton over a wall and away from the fight. And yeah, maybe you're going to die to him, but at least he's not winning the fight for you. So you're betting you could 4v4 better. Now you pick the Olaf. Yeah, like you mentioned, I don't really care what I'm too slippery. You're not going to be able to grab a hold of me and try and throw me if I got Ragnarok going. So I actually see the logic a lot more from this Olaf pick here. You're getting through these runes and keystones. First strike again for the Syndra makes a ton of sense up against the Akali. Once again, wouldn't have hated a phase rush in this game because of a Set, and Akali, and a Poppy, but you're just maximizing your damage and trying to get to those items quicker from lane.
Trying to max those gains there. That is going to be the double lethal tempo coming on across for both AD carries. No huge surprises there. The Zeri really leaning in towards scaling for the later game. I see the conditioning. I see the overgrowth there, as she's going to get a little bit of extra beef coming in to the later game. There's going to be the Aftershock versus the Guardian, so nothing too crazy there. The Yellow Tree secondary on Rakan, a little bit unusual, as we do more frequently see the red these days, but I guess just wants that tenacity and wants that mana regen. I think that's what they're going for there.
Yeah, that's got to be the option here. And the only option for the death cards, win. You broke the 7-0. 7-0 is not alive. You got to win. You finally beat the Travelers, but it's not going to matter much if this just ends up being a 3-1.
Yep. I mean, it will mean my prediction's correct and your prediction's correct, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but they don't care about that.
Be on the lookout for that. No, they do not. They do not. They should. They should pay more heed to what we want out of these games. That's something I'm always going to be a proponent of. But no, they're definitely it is to try to win it for themselves and for their teammates and for that the prestige that comes with a Divine League Finals berth, as well as the additional prize money that comes with a Divine League Finals berth. So definitely both going to be looking out for number 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here, which are going to be themselves and their teammates, in an order that they do choose. You have a little bit of pause on the Rift as things are getting started here, so we got a little bit more time just to hang out with you and me, Slayer, as I've figured out what direction I need to point in.
Yeah, it's always mirrored.
Always mirrored.
Point. Yeah, you just gotta think about, like, that even though you're facing your setup, you're in reality you're facing like this.
Yeah.
That's how I think about it.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm now confused again, even though I know what direction to go in. You've gotten me back around to confused.
Whatever. We'll ignore that. What I do want to talk about is some extra things to look for now that I'm taking in all the summoners. It is a flash Olaf, which is weird to me. Usually you see Ghost teleport, so that does mean Fizzy is going to be teleportless. So win those, big decisions, teleporting for fights, the side laning happens. Keep in mind that 9 times out of 10, the death cards will have the teleport advantage and likely the man advantage. It's also, once again, exhaust for Zoranos on the Xayah, which I think is a little bit of a weirder summoner choice now up against a Zeri instead of a Tristana.
Yeah, it's got to be for
But-
Fizzy's Olaf.
Yeah, that's the main reason why it makes sense. But I mean, we leaned on a Gordo. They care about winning lane hard, so that summoner's not really for lane.
True. But they do need, some kind of way to play out mid-game team fights, and the biggest threat to the mid-game fights is going to be Fizzy. While Bark, Duck, and Burger King are still scaling. I do agree this is indexed a little less heavily towards the early game than what we saw in game number 3. So I want to see some cute level 1s here. I want to see some attempts to build up an advantage early on out of Lexus and the squad, as that has been their recipe up against this team. And if last game didn't proved anything, it proved that Travelers can fight their way back in here. As Duck spotted is a good luck sign. Who's it going to be good luck for, though? We're going to have to wait and
Duck.
see.
How do you decide which one the Duck is for? Do you?
We'll find out. It's whoever won.
Oh, okay. I thought
Yeah.
it was like whichever part of the river he walks, like whoever sees the Duck first.
Oh,
Or
I just think
like-
the fact that the Duck is even here is good, because he doesn't spawn every game. He only spawns occasionally. So
Well,
we'll have to see.
If we're playing who found the Duck first, it's technically the Travelers.
It is. They didn't
but-
spook him, though. He's still there.
Yeah, well, they're about to get spooked themselves. Oh, Dredge line. Not gonna land. So I wonder if it's bad luck whoever spooks him then.
Maybe.
It's like
that
the
could be a way.
Groundhog Day.
Yeah, I think Burger King's about to do that, so. Oh, not close enough. He's still good.
Oh, he's good.
He is.
Oh, this is
Burger
surely-
King's making a beeline right for him, though. No,
Oh?
nobody in that area yet. Shredman
Burger
spotted
King,
on this
no.
board, though. Shredman just
Oh.
barely avoids the knockup.
Okay, now I'm honestly way too vested in the Duck. Wait, they're not gonna do it still.
Let's go, boys. They know what's up. Nobody's gonna step over that Duck. He'll go
That's
away on his own, I
crazy.
think, once buffs spawn. So it's a wash.
Wow. Electric.
Yeah, we'll see. Oh, there's the rubber
What?
duck up here.
Rubber Duck.
Are they linked to the rubber duck? See, there he goes. He just left.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Is the rubber duck and the bot lane duck linked? I actually don't know. As the fight's breaking out, there's going to be the hook from Pierce Blade. Stro taking incredibly low. Smite successful for
Oh.
Lexus. And first blood to Zoranos. SDC are back on the early game plan.
I mean, that's what you gotta do. This is the recipe that worked game number 1. The game 1 they won. So game 3. And now they still got Lexus here. Oh, that Dredge line hitting the wall could be bad, but they're baiting in for Lexus just to go. The Hex Flash lands. They've rooted our Barco Duck, but they've also got Aquanico. Can't dash back to his teammate. It's going to be 2 kills to Zoranos at 2 minutes.
And that's why you go the Hex Flash on the Poppy. I'm going to be honest, Slayer, the fact that Lexus has it this game makes me think it was a mistake that he didn't take it the first game. It was definitely, I think it was a mistake either way. I think it was unintentional, though. As he's got it now, and boy, does it look good.
It is pulling off so much. And you talked about death cards. They've kind of drafted a bit to be team fighting, not as early game oriented. But that doesn't stop them at all. And man, does it feel good to get those 2 kills onto Zoranos. Looks like he's going to even take a cheater back here. I got to think this is an immediate Noon Quiver or Berserker's Greaves onto this Xayah so early on.
Huge start for Zoranos. He's going to get that Noon Quiver,
Oh,
as well as the extra
no.
longsword coming back to lane. Oh, boy. It's tough to early lane on Zeri already, and it is about to get tougher for old Barco Duck, facing off against this very powerful Xayah. And the death cards, they get exactly what they would have wanted. They make multiple attempts to build themselves up an advantage at level 1, and one of them succeeds.
I do like this call from Lil Fizzy, though. He came down for an invade so that you've at least even the camps up for the Stro. So now he's gone back to, actually more camps than he lost prior. And actually doesn't end up hurting Lil Fizzy that bad in his wave state, so that is massive because what also helped derail the game for Travelers last time was the fact that Stro, when he went for his usual early game plays, he was way too far behind and died. Now he's, he did die once, but he is kind of at least in the CS department and clear-wise back in it.
Indeed. Yeah, keeping the CS at least as even as he can, and that's the best he can hope for. I mean, he needs 2 items before he's going to be competitive with Zoranos. So he's just going to have to keep his eyes on the prize and make sure that the prize is the minions. Not even be too concerned about brawling up against Pierce Blade and Zoranos. It's just not going to work out for them. And then, once he feels confident in his ability to skate back over walls and to stay safe, he'll let Aquanico go around the map and do what he does. Pierce Blade, though, doesn't have the Hex Flash. He's going to have to regular flash over this wall, and he's going to do it. Goes on in, hooks in Aquanico.
Oh,
Lexus is there, snag with the Blade Caller, and Aquanico's going to get chased down. Another kill to Pierce Blade.
And all while that was going on, Stro, they do actually get the kill on the top side. Stro was sitting in that top brush for at least 20 seconds. So at least the cross-mapping is working this time for Travelers. Last game it fell flat. This time they get Lil Fizzy the lead that he always loves to hold.
Beautiful there to get Lil Fizzy started. We talked about how this lane's going to be one-sided for somebody, and they're trying to make sure it's going to be Lil Fizzy for the Travelers. Meanwhile, the Death Card's going to start off this dragon. Aquanico sees it going down, but this is a spectator sport for him. He is going to wave goodbye to the Hextech Drake and watch as it goes into the hands of the Death Cards.
Also, another recipe when the Death Cards won a game was early onus on those Drakes. They actually, funnily enough, didn't even, I believe, get the Ocean Soul last game, but
didn't need it.
It's pressure. Yeah, and this is what I was talking about. I was staring at the mini map. I was like, when is the Stro going to go? And he did finally decide. Really early for us from Starry to avoid the axes. And then we talked about it. When the W comes up, that's the bailout for Set. Starry just never even went for it until he was really low. He also started losing some of that. Well, it's not called Rage.
Oh?
What is
What is it called? Grit?
Grit?
No,
yeah,
that's
whatever.
Graves.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what it's called. Oh, there's going to be the hook back in, connecting on to Barco Duck, pulled back through. The turnaround, though. Barco Duck zaps him away with the passive. And now Zoranos shut down. Pierce Blade getting chased as well. The Travelers win out in the 2v2, connecting with the depth charge, but does not want it. Dredgeline, rather. The walk back in from Barco Duck, actually genius there.
Wow, and that is crushing for the Death Cards. That was the lane that they had the advantage in. Lexus has got to be kicking himself. He's like, guys, I came down there twice. I got you 2 kills, Zoranos. And what did you do with it? You give them over as shutdowns now, and the Travelers now somehow miraculously are sitting on a gold lane. They might get more.
Ooh, coming back in is Burger King. Does not land another orb. Is not going to commit the ultimate. And Pierce Blade finds Aquanico, lands the dredge line again. Shredman committing perfect execution here. Dashes back forward, but can't get in range. And Aquanico's out of there. As here comes an all-out on the top side. Nice block by Lil Fizzy, popping the Ragnarok to make sure that Starry is just carrying nobody away with the showstopper. And it is called Grit, by the way. I looked it up in the background.
Yeah, I was
another fight might be breaking on out here. It's a level advantage for Straight.
Good
Great
cancel.
block from Lexus with the steadfast presence.
Great, but it's still going to go out here. Still fighting it out. Lil Fizzy low, but that's where Olaf likes to operate in. And Starry's going to fall once more here. What a topsy-turvy early game, but it's all turned disastrous for the Death Cards. They have advantages in one big lane. They lose them instantly, and now the other lane doesn't tip back over towards the Death Cards. It only expands for Lil Fizzy. 2-0 on the Zeri and Olaf.
Great stuff by the Travelers here, and the Death Cards, they struck first, but they lost their grip on this game number 4, and are now going to have to look back towards Zoranos and Shredman to be able to play out these fights in the mid game in such a way that they can keep stacking dragons, can go for a reliable game plan towards winning this game. It's going to be tough, though. This is where the Travelers have been the strongest. And they've got a lot of gold in just the right spots.
Now, the answer gonna be the Rift Herald. Stro immediately committing the Cataclysm. They're jumping onto Starry, but Set's gonna get a full W out. Ton of damage. Stro way too low. Ragnarok popped, coming across. He is Lil Fizzy. It's gonna be a trade. Jungler for top laner, but look who's healthier. It's this Olaf. Lil Fizzy gonna lose the Ragnarok with the axe. Has to juke the Keeper's Verdict and won't. So Lexus actually able to go 1-for-1 in that exchange.
Very good stuff there by Lexus. Waits out that Ragnarok. Just knows that it's more important to buy time and let the Ragnarok expire than anything else. Gets the charge back into the minions to buy that space and to punt out the Olaf. Now the dive coming on through onto Zoronos. Damage being pumped out from Barco Duck. Zoronos goes up into the Feather Storm to stay alive, trying to clear out the wave. The dive coming through in the top side. Lil Fizzy is down. Barco Duck is taking down Zoronos on the other side. And now Lexus getting collapsed on. Nice block there off the back of the Steadfast Presence, but the Stro is right on top of him, trying to buy space for Burger King. He's on the wrong side of the map this whole way through, by the way. One more poke off the Dragon Strike is not enough. But the spear will pierce the heart of Lexus and pick up another kill.
This game's getting scrappy again, just like the last one, but at a rapid pace. So SDC doing a good job fighting back somewhat, but they're still down and out a lot. The gold lead's massive in certain spots here. The Zeri up about 700-ish gold. 500 gold lead now for Lil Fizzy. Those are the big ones you want to look for. But at least somehow, despite the fact being 0-3, Starry is not down as much gold as I thought he'd be.
No, he is not. He's managed to keep even in gold, or in CS at least, not in gold. But he's got an assist in there too. He's gotten himself at least competitive with the Olaf, despite getting taken down multiple times. But it is going to be rough for him going forward, though. If he doesn't have the upfront damage to actually take down Fizzy, he's just going to make him stronger as they exchange blows back and forth, and Fizzy's just going to heal all of that right up in a kind of short-form, bursty kind of skirmish. Lexus coming on down towards the bottom lane now. Dash out from Aqua Nico as they are setting up for Dragon number 2. And the recall being channeled from the Stro tells me that Travelers do not want to challenge this.
Oh, Burger King getting a full combo out, gets the Unleashed Power, but it's not enough. Gives Shredman a window to go for it all as well. Flash over the wall from Burger King. His pick turned into a rapid race back to the turret.
Yeah, just doesn't have the damage to be able to take down that Akali. He had the item advantage, which made him want to take the fight. He knew he had Ludens up against just components from Shredman, but first of all, very nice move there to use the perfect execution, cast one up against the wall, and now Burger King getting chased out by Lexus. Full combo from the Poppy. Burger King trying to escape, can't do it. The Hammer Shock will take him down, but Stro evens it up as now here comes Zeri, going to be able to just keep on firing shots into the smoke and knows one of them will hit onto Shredman eventually. Shredman goes down.
Barco Duck has been quiet since he's been taking off his Tristana, but now 4-0 on Zeri, a champion that is supposed to be super weak, only compared to Jinx with how weak they both are at this phase of the game. It's not that phase for Barco Duck anymore. He is 4-0 when he takes this back, likely going to have that Storm Razor already completed. I think the Berserker Greaves are soon to be done as well, and
what are we looking at here?
Mushrooms?
Mushrooms? Yeah, I suppose so. Not as exciting as the Duck, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
There's going to be the dash away. Zoronos trying to escape. Looks like he will get out of there. The Stro is hanging in the wings, so he's got to count his blessings while he's got them and get back to the inner turret.
Gonna steal away a camp potentially, just hovering over here. Top lane has started to die off like you were talking about, mainly because Lil Fizzy has the advantage. He's actually down in XP though, well, until he takes the wave. Lands the axe, and oh, there we go. He's going all for it. Ragnarok popped. Starry's got no shot in the world here. He can't ult him. All he can do is hope to out-damage him. Flashes away, and he will stay alive, but still a positive net trade for Lil Fizzy.
Yeah, doing his best to make it even there. There's a cute play that you have the option to do, where if you can like manage to path your way around the Olaf, you can try to take the Showstopper as your own escape. He wants to try to use that for this trade.
He's got him.
Showstopper back, and Starry takes him down for the 1v1, wins the pit brawl on the pit boss.
He waited for his W to come up, and that's the big type of play Set needs. Stro having to flash away from Shredman, so we keep seesawing around, Gordo. These guys, they keep taking turns, making the big-time plays. Now it feels like the Death Guards are starting to gain some momentum back. And interestingly enough, Lexus, second game on the Poppy here. He went the Summoner last time round. Now, he's committed to the Evershroud.
Yeah, going to be looking to keep things a little bit more even that way. Instead, going to try to amp up the damage of the rest of the team there on that even Shroud. Thoughts arrive like butterflies as SDC trying to reestablish themselves around mid lane here. Actually coming back on up towards top, maybe trying to defend this turret.
Yeah, they're going to rotate a little Fizzy back up. They did, like you mentioned, expend the teleport from Burger King to match it. Or are they looking to pick off Lexus? I mean, this is kind of hard to do. And they also were spotted on that pink ward. Lil Fizzy won't actually clear it either. And now Aquanico gets spotted out, so nothing found from that camp. And while it's nice that the Death Cards have, you know, gotten some picks here, forced some flashes, they kind of shut down the Olaf. As much as Lil Fizzy has been a problem all series long, I am just most worried about this Zeri. I mean, that's a Stormrazor, Berserker Screams, and a BF Sword done for Zeri at 15 minutes.
Great stuff there. Moving on up here, Lil Fizzy looking to take himself a little first turret gold, and he's going to get it. The Stro better stay away from this one. Make sure that Fizzy gets full value. 450 gold into the pockets of the Olaf, who's already got the Trinity Force down, by the way. Fizzy is looking for damage.
Tons of damage, the name of the game for this Olaf. And now we're reaching that threshold where we start to get into this mid-game. We're still going for picks. Starry has the ultimate, uses the Showstopper to get out of the Cataclysm, but can't avoid the knockup of the Flag and Drag. One more W to try and save him, but Fizzy burns through it. Fizzy has another kill. Shredman now going mid lane onto Burger King, but cannot take that Shuriken back with how close he is at turret. And the playmaking with that turret down, exponentially growing for the Stro.
Very good stuff there as Lil Fizzy pushed away in the top side, but just continuing to farm it on out as he has another wave there to keep on going off the back of yet another kill on to that set. And wow, he's gonna get the inner here. This is going way faster. Trinity Force, a hell of a drug for Lil Fizzy up there.
And now, I mean, he could just, with the gold he's gotten, I mean, is this a Sterax angle immediately slamming, a Black Cleaver? Whatever it is, he's about to get a lot of the components for it when he resets.
Stuff here. Move back on towards mid lane. Starry making the swap, coming on up to clear out this wave while Shredman's in the base. And really just not having the best time in this game number 4. Set so far behind up against Fizzy's Olaf, who is clearly trying to brute force his way into the grand finals. Bark Go Duck feeling plenty good as well. The Stormrazor already done. And at 1-1 in the Dragons means that's not going to be coming on up here anytime soon as a win condition. The Death Cards have got to put together something. They are grouping up on this side of the map. All 5 members, they managed to snag an Aquanico. He can't get away in time, but he will get the dash back to Bark Go Duck. Actually manages to escape there, but now without cooldowns as the Dragon fight will begin.
Still has his flash up, but yeah, the quickness had to be expended to get back away. They land another Judge Line on the Stro. Ooh. Keeper's Verdict hits 2 members away. That's your mid and jungler down. Well, your jungler's actually dead there. Shut down. All courtesy of Lexus. What a Keeper's Verdict to give him an edge.
All right, a numbers advantage for SDC. Aquanico low on HP, no cooldowns, basically a minion in this fight. As Bark Go Duck back behind them. Lil Fizzy gets hooked in. Can he pop the Ragnarok? Bark Go Duck fighting on the other side. Forces the flash out of Lexus. Getting collapsed on by multiple members with that exhaust. As Starry melting through Burger King. But the Ragnaroking Lil Fizzy is going to try to pop off in this fight. Flashes forward. Axes through the team. Shots rain through from Bark Go Duck. And the Travelers are ripping apart the Death Cards to win this Dragon.
Starry just doesn't hit hard enough to go that crazy with Set jumping into the team. He expends all of that real estate and doesn't get anything for it. And Lil Fizzy, patience is a virtue, ladies and gentlemen, and he shows why, turning with the Ragnarok and knocking down the fight there. Barco Duck doing a good job on the other side, not dying when Lexus tries to jump on him, and you're starting to see why the Zeri this far ahead is a problem. Lexus can't even deal with him in a 1v1. He gets burned too quickly, and that only gets exponentially worse as this game goes on.
Here comes Lexus trying to catch Lil Fizzy,
No
going
Ragnarok.
a little bit too hungry for it. Lil Fizzy gonna just try to turn and fight here, gets stunned into the wall, and gets taken down. Shutdown goal to Starry.
That's going to feel really good to get him towards a 2-item power spike because, boy, has Lil Fizzy already got to this point. You talked about this was the fight that you want if you're the death cards. The problem is you can't burn down Lil Fizzy. Shredman's too far away from the team. You can see they both split their ideas. Shredman and Starry, they want to go kill everybody else off. But the rest of the squad wants to go for that priority target. Once Barco Duck is safe and the rest of the squad doesn't die to Starry and Shredman, you just activate this Olaf. The feathers do nothing, not enough damage. Zeri gets to free fire once more, and that's a recipe for success if you're the Travelers.
The recipe for success that they are trying to replicate here, moving back on up towards the Rift Herald, but the Death Cards will be able to secure it for themselves. A little bit of a reprieve there for the blue side, desperately trying to fight their way back into this game. They secure themselves that objective to try to earn themselves some objective bounties, as all of these turrets are looking so healthy coming into 20 minutes into this game. The Travelers in full control. Burger King camping in that red side jungle, trying to spot someone unawares.
Gotta find some sort of pick angle here. You draft the Akali, the Poppy, the Nas, look for picks. They're on to Aquanico, but that's not a target you want. Depth charge, like you talked about, they put it on Barco Duck, but it's only defensive. So that key ultimate, the one few ultimate, it feels like it can lock down Zeri, expended with Baron up.
Indeed. Gonna make it so tough to actually play up against this Zeri. She's still got the lightning crash, the hook in onto the Stro. Shredman looking for the carries, dives in, but is already so low. Unleashed power crushes him as Burger King takes down the kill. There's the dredge line back in to be able to take down the mid laner, but Barco Duck is largely untouched, is dominating, is over the wall and hunting down Lexus as it's a 1-for-2 so far. And the jungler on the wrong side of the map might just be all it takes for this Baron to go over to the Travelers.
Yeah, he's got to walk the long way back even towards mid lane. He suspects it's a Baron call. He's going to take a couple more turret shots as he walks through. He is tanky. They know the Baron's going down. Barco Duck doesn't have a ton of mana either, which could be big in keeping him safe jumping over that wall. And Lexus, once again, going to get chased here. Has the Dead Man's Plate, phase rush, but this time will be cut off by Lil Fizzy. The blast cone, the Keeper's Verdict, that has to be the turn. Lil Fizzy is gone. Now Lexus thinks he might be able to take the fight, but you get rid of the Olaf. The Stro shows up, flashing to try and get the Cataclysm window, but he can't find it. So the flash down from the Stro for nothing.
Roll the Benny Hill theme, Slayer, as what a time saver there from Lexus. Now they're going to get a kill onto Burger King. Starry picks up another one. They nearly got that objective bounty. Fizzy is popping the ghost as he wants to clean this one up. He connects with that. Ragnarok is chasing on down off the undertows, and Starry goes down. Zoronos now maybe the next target is Stro, coming on in on the flank. Still has access to that Cataclysm and locks Zoronos in. They're brawling one-on-one as here comes the depth charge trying to buy some additional space over to Zoronos, but the undertows are raining through, and there's the Ultra Shock Laser. Barco Duck over the wall, avoids Shredman. He's got Aquanico there for the backup as well as the rest of the team, as they're going to look to slow on down Lexus and see who they can hunt down in this red side jungle. The Travelers continuing to win out on fights, even while Lexus is running them around in circles.
Oh, that was the equivalent of a missed wide open layup for Shredman. You're not going to get many chances like that to just go after Barco Duck because Travelers kind of forgot about their Zeri in the back line. Shredman had a window, but that pesky E on the Zeri She waltzes right over the wall when Shredman tries to blow that gap closer to follow her and whiffs it. That could have very much so been a dead Zeri or at least a flashless Zeri. Barco Duck able to escape a very, very likely death.
Very good stuff there. Spark Surge gets out Barco Duck time and time again. And Shredman is not able to connect, is not able to come on out with the big Akali cash outs the way he was in the last time he played it. And he just steps up way too far, gets easily punished by the Stro with the flag and drag. And this teleport is going to be fully punished. Popping off with the Ragnarok, Lil Fizzy trying to run down the rest of this team. Resetting onto Starry, picks up his first kill, starts slamming onto Pierce Blade. There's going to be Zoronos caught inside the Cataclysm. It's a double kill to Lil Fizzy. It's the unleashed power on a Pierce Blade. 4 kills to the Travelers as they're going to get themselves out of soul points.
That's the fight they want. Starry too preoccupied with trying to get Lil Fizzy that nobody is checking Barco Duck. Gets the lightning crash and just gets to free fire. And there is a fire, a wildfire running through the death cards, and it might just burn down their season. Down nearly 10k gold. No turrets really left up outside their base. And Baron, almost a certainty for the Travelers at this point.
Looking to wipe the map of objectives here, but the death cards do not say die. They are teleporting back in. Shredman arrives in his 1 versus 4, just trying to buy space, trying to take a page out of Lexus's book. And you know what? He's done it. He's distracted them for long enough. They're not going to start up the Baron.
All right, so the Baron's not down just yet, but that's a small victory because on the reset, even more gold into these carries. Burger King gets a needlessly large rod. Barco Duck still yet to reset. Gotta think he's gonna hit a 3rd item threshold if that's a Runins or a Phantom Dancer that Zeal is building into. And then you've got Lil Fizzy with the Caulfield Hammer. He's already got a Hull Breaker as well, so he can just match Starry on the bot side and somebody has to go answer him. And this is where the desperation comes. Lexus trying to set up picks. Burger King has been an easy one to find most of the time. This time he's aware.
Oh, there's going to be the slam into the wall. Lexus going to be able to lock on down Burger King, but Burger King actually turning it back around. Scout of the weak back onto the rest of the team. Here comes Depth Charge. Shredman, though, tanking turret the whole time. Will drop down. Pierce Blade's going to join him as Barco Duck just looks for new targets to shoot.
And now you have Lil Fizzy holding Starry down here. You're going to be able to take this Baron 4v2. Lexus is going to try to be pesky. Lil Fizzy takes a lot of turret shots, but he doesn't want to fight. He's just holding this set because Starry either has to commit to stop the Baron or commit to stopping this push on the tier 2 turret. Baron below 6k. Aquanico doing a good job zoning Lexus, who does not have Keeper's Verdict. He cannot send the Stro out. It has to be a straight steal, but he can't even get into the pit. Below 2k, ignited, and Barco Duck's flashing after him. Lexus is going to escape, but this time, he can't stall the Baron take. All 5 members of Travelers have the purple buff.
All 5 members receive it, and it will once again be the Baron buff worn by the Travelers. They are going to be able to pick up another kill onto Lexus.
Watch this buy from Barco Duck, by the way. Immediately slams the Runins. I'm pretty sure he's even more gold.
He's a wealthy man at this stage of the game. Stopwatch. Nice
My
choice.
God. Yep. I mean, yeah, you thought you could kill Zeri before. Now at least has some sort of pocket window to go invulnerable. I just don't see a way the death cards get back into this one. Travelers have to really miss position their carries. And Burger King, this is a window, but the E doesn't land for Shredman. Still has him on the wrong side of the rip, but the Stro is going to be the first one to rotate over. Perfect execution, doesn't get the kill. Shredman slowed up. Burger King has enough of a buffer. And Shredman, he might get killed off near his own base.
Shredman caught on out here. There's going to be the Cataclysm coming on through, and Barco Duck goes legendary as he finishes off another one.
chasing down into the base now. It is a chance for the Travelers to take the series here. Re-engage from Lexus as he knocks him back into the wall. The knockup comes through on his Oranos. Stro is hunting him down through the exhaust, and one more swing will be the end of him. Burger King moving forward on to Lexus next up, and it's just nothing left for the Death Cards. The Travelers are looking to close out this series and are looking to move into the grand finals.
And this will be it. This is the dagger. Starry, so low, already having a flash. Gets the showstopper off, but there's no damage left. He needs the turrets to do it. And they can just start wailing on these tier 2 turrets. Barcodeck did go chase Lexus down all the way in the jungle.
He's having
Burger King's
fun.
really low as well. He is having fun. Shredman, though, doesn't get to have any fun. Gordo already can't kill Burger King and falls. Lexus
This is over. This is
just capturing the couple seconds left of his season, and there it is.
This is shenanigans. This is all over as it's another win for the Travelers. The Travelers will stamp their ticket to the grand finals and will win this series 3-1.
And while they did lose the undefeated streak against the Death Cards, that's only a mere afterthought by this point. The Travelers, the 4th seed in the chaotic regular season end we had to Divine, make the grand final here and set up what, you know, through the playoffs feels like the matchup we expected.
It really does. And we're going to come away with correct predictions there, Slayer. So good on us. Very
All in a
good
day's
performance here from the Travelers. The Death Cards did break the losing streak, though. 7-1 will be their final record up against the Travelers here. And At is going to be the best that they can do here. Our first seed for the Risen Divine League are eliminated. And the Travelers will get their rematch up against Iowa Masters next week.
Yep. It's going to be a very, very fun grand finals because the statistics don't just say Travelers are by far and away the better squad like they did in the Death Cards. It is a much closer bout. And as good as Travelers have looked in the playoffs, ISU Masters, they've looked better. They're the ones coming from the upper bracket.
Yeah, it's going to be a hell of a final. Looking very good here are the Travelers. I mean, they definitely had a little bit of fun with it towards the end, but they certainly came on away with a hell of a performance here up against the Death Cards, showing huge comeback potential in that game number 3, and just absolutely demolishing everything past the early game in pretty much all 4 games, let's be real, but definitely in the 3 that they won. Really showing that they are one of the most dangerous mid to late game teams in the Risen Divine League, that they are well deserving of a spot in our grand finals, and that they have a real shot here coming in from the lower seed up against ISU Masters.
Yeah, and it feels like a lot of their game plan is going to have to be through Lil Fizzy. I know Barco Duck had an amazing game on the Zeri. All credit to him there. But Lil Fizzy consistently outperforming his lane opponent. And, you know, he was the reason, in my mind, like you talked about, that the game 3 even got close was because they just couldn't kill Renekton a lot of the time. Lil Fizzy feels like the cornerstone of this Travelers squad. And if we're talking about looking at Champs League, as, you know, a reflection on Divine, team that won Champs, you could argue that their cornerstone was their top laner as well. And they took it all.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, even looking back to Divine League last season, right? We had folks like Meow Meow Mix. We had some big top laners coming on through. That long history, long storied history in the Divine League of big pop-off top laners here. Lil Fizzy looking to cement his name alongside them and looking to make a big run here to see if they can take on down ISU Masters. I'm going to be here for it. It is going to be a hell of a matchup here.
Yeah, I'm super excited, and I believe I'll be on the desk for that grand final. So this is my final Risen cast of
I'll be on the couch for
2023.
that final, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. So we're giving it. It's gonna be Spooky and Davi on the cast
Yeah.
for the final. They've earned it. They've been the big faces of this league all season
Super
long.
excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome for them. I'm real hyped to see them on the finals. They're the freshest faces to the Divine League. The newest generation will be carrying on through a grand final next week, and it's gonna be a banger.
This was a 3-game series when ISU and Travelers met last time, hoping for a 5-gamer when they meet in a best of 5 next week.
Yeah, it's not much more to say here. Just looking forward to that matchup. Looking forward to being on the desk, seeing Dobby and Spooky get the grand final they earned when they got the promotion here, and Gordo gets to kick his feet up. He's got ACL to worry about, guys. He's not done just yet for the year. He's got to reassess for some serious playoffs over there as well.
Yeah, that's why my reel's gonna be late as hell this year. But we'll see. We'll see. That is going to do it for tonight's broadcast of the Risen Divine League. It is not over yet, though. Do not miss the grand finals next week. You know, plenty of other Risen leagues are starting to close on out. There's going to be more finals. I believe Draft League finals are coming on up this Friday. So
Yes.
There's lots of other games left to be played here as all the Risen leagues start to round on out. Make sure you catch those. They're going to be live here, same channel every time they're up. Stay tuned to the Twitter and the Discord for scheduling. And of course, we're going to be back next week. Slayer and Bonfire on the desk, Dobbymon and Spooky Mars on the cast for our Risen Divine League Grand Finals as we look to crown yet another Risen Divine League champion. We'll see you there. But until then, from myself, from Slayer, and from Caddy and Chippy on production, thank you guys for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next time.
Away.